but just work out what you would take in a heat if you don't.
A small one and then a couple of like that last set we saw.
Yeah, there was a first one.
Good morning once again, Wednesday, April 17, coming to you live from the Western Australia Margaret River Pros Top 5 on the Championship Tour as we see the competitors in the round of 16 for the women's event warming up. Tatiana Weston-Webb making her way down the stairs. She's been victorious here in the past. Betty Lou Sakura-Johnson on a magic run this season, gearing up for a big day. Sawyer Lindblad has some work to do to save her place on tour. the world number 1, Katie Simmers, on hand. India Robinson, she'll be competing in that first heat, chatting with her coach, Jay Thompson, and Joanne Defay, sitting number 2 on the Epic rankings at the moment, and looking every part the world title contender. She's going to be hard to stop here. Have a look at this morning that's greeted us once again. We're Dundee country. And a big shout out to the traditional custodians of this region. We pay our respects to them and we welcome everyone to the show once again. Ronnie Blakey, joined by Felicity Palmatier, a local in these parts. Felicity, I've said it every day, I'll say it again. Thanks for having us.
Oh, no worries, mate.
It's been an absolute ball. Another gorgeous morning. Big day yesterday, huge day. We got through a lot. In fact, it's just been hard to kind of comprehend what unfolded yesterday.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think I'm still sitting here trying to digest it, trying to process it all. I mean, what does it all mean? Major moment for Kelly yesterday, people getting cut, people making the cut, and yeah, I'm still sitting here trying to make sense of it all.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, things are going to get more intense today because in that round of 16, we've got surfers looking to keep their position at the top end of the rankings, but we've also got some below the cut line fighting hard to stay on tour. Let's find out what's coming our way. Good morning, Stace.
Good morning, Ron. How's the adrenals? Squeezed to within an inch of your life?
Oh, there's nothing left, mate.
No.
Just completely juiced.
We need to save something because it's going to be another big day, isn't that right, Jessie?
Yeah, it is. So we're going to be on very soon here with the women's round of 16. We are looking at those 8 heats. There's we've kept the next round on hold, but for us to get to the quarterfinals, I think, and then be set up for either a good finals day or we need like a day and a half kind of thing. So we're on today, and we know it's a little bit smaller, but it's still really clean and still pretty consistent out there too. So it's going to be a good morning for us.
And how's the confidence in the rest of the forecast? There is a little lump there at the end.
Yeah, the rest of the forecast is pretty interesting. So we know that, when we're looking at that final day of the event window, that's, I think that's going to be our finals day. However, the wind's kind of bouncing around, and then depending on how that swell kind of, ends up, there is the half chance that the box could be good on that day as well. So, for us to be able to keep everything open, we need to kind of see what we can do to get there. We're still going to have that men's round that we still need to do as well, and that's going to be the interesting one to see if we get an opportunity to do that before Saturday, I think. And, getting to Sunday, it's always how you navigate to get there, So we're going to take what we have today, and, rule number 1 is always, if there's waves, we've got to use them.
Absolutely. My adrenals are back at that 50-50 call of potentially running across the bay, but we'll see how that plays out. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Stace. Have a great day out there in the field, mate. Look at this first heat. Joanne Defay, magic run that she's been on this year and hasn't missed a final series yet. Sitting number 2 in the world at the moment. Big opportunity here for her, with not a lot of points between her and Katie Simmers to potentially, on the live ladder, get herself ahead. But we'll see what happens. India Robinson, she's going to fight hard.
Oh, this is just, for me right now, this round of 16, there's a lot of different scenarios. I had a look this morning, and there's one happening right here. India Robinson needs to make this heat to keep her dream alive, where she's right back there on the rankings. But she's coming up against such an informed Joanne. Joanne obviously made that final at Bells with Katie Simmers, and she was leading that live rankings there for a hot little second at Bells, and it really came down to the final who won, who ended up in that yellow jersey. But yeah, Joanne has been in fine form this year. To be completely honest, I haven't quite seen her connect all the dots here just yet, and I feel like she would probably know that herself. I know that she's working with Andrew Sheridan here, who's a local, who's worked with Carissa in the past, so she's got a good person in her corner, and I feel like she's probably just chomping at the bit, trying to, keep that momentum alive from those first few events of the year. Yeah,
I think for any competitor too, there's going to be periods in a purple patch, or times throughout a season where you're going to have a dip or you're going to have a couple of heats that, don't feel like, they've carried that rhythm that has carried you to big finishes in the first 4 events. But, much like John Florence, I think Joanne's surfing is just as right where it needs to be, getting close to sort of peak performance. And I just think she'll be too strong here. But it is a different kind of lineup that we're dealing with. I love the fact that we're running in clean conditions again, because as we saw yesterday, in the morning, a lot of big scores dropping, and as that wind picked up and it got a little trickier to read out there, it became a bit more grindy, and that was difficult. So I think, even though there's limited set wave opportunities maybe out there, once you get one, you can really go at it. You can throw down your best surfing and flex your repertoire, which is what the judges always like to see.
Definitely. This morning, you know, as I was drinking my morning coffee, I was sort of watching the surf, and yeah, okay, the energy has dropped a little bit. It is slightly smaller than yesterday, but when the sets come through, they've got that really good shape. They're still hitting the reef. I think it's going to be much like, you know, that earlier first day of competition that we saw where, you know, the sets, obviously it's smaller, so all that energy is focusing a little bit closer in on the reef. But when those sets come through, they are really good shape. They've got some good wall to them, and the women are going to be able to get some damage done. But much to your point before, Ron, yeah, yesterday afternoon got really tricky once that sea breeze came in. You know, it was either kind of you're taking off on a set, which was, you know, 4-6 foot, or, you know, a 1 foot chop on the inside. There was not much in between. It was really tricky. So I think it's a good call to make the most of these beautiful, clean conditions this morning. And yeah, I think it's really contestable.
Well, Joanne with a big victory over in Portugal. But I mentioned a couple of quarterfinal finishes before that. She backed up beautifully. Did the same thing as Griffin, actually, a win and a second place through the last 2 contests. It's got her well situated at the top end of the rankings, and you know, she's just taking her rightful place at the top of the ladder at the moment with, I mean, Steph and Carissa both stepping off to her at the moment. It's kind of exactly where you'd expect her to be. There was so much hype about the younger generation coming through in those first 2 events for good reason. Their performances were groundbreaking. But Joanne is just a force and a threat at every event. So she's going to have the advantage, you'd think, performance-wise and confidence-wise out here at the moment. But India Robinson, so resilient, has overcome some pretty hectic injuries in the last couple of years, concussion. And she just did so well on the Challenger Series last year. Oh,
didn't she? I mean, we saw her get that first win at Snapper on the Gold Coast there, the first big win of the year and of the Challenger Series. And it was amazing to see. It just felt like that there was a lot that went into that and into that moment to get back to where, you know, to full health and get back to that moment where she got that win. But yeah, she's very resilient. She's such a resilient competitor. But at the moment, I mean, the cards are stacked against her. It is a hard slog right now. I mean, she's right back currently in 16th place, so this is going to be a challenge for her.
A lot of consistency amongst the top-rated surfers on the Epic rankings at the moment. You know, it's been dominated the tour by a select few in the opening stages of the season. So only 6 places are short up at the moment. Only 4 places remaining as we move into the round of 16 here at the Western Australia Margaret River Pro, and you can see that India Robinson back there in 16th position, hasn't even made a move up the rankings just yet. So, you know, this is a crucial moment for her, but we've got a lot of big heats coming your way today.
Oh, I know. I mean, I look at these rankings here, and I mean, I just look at Katie and Joanne just absolutely running away with it on 27,000 points plus for both of them. So it's crazy to me that they've had an amazing start to the year, but when I hear you say there's only 4 spots, you know, available for the women, every time I just think, wow, it's just such a small tour past this cut, and I just feel like there's so many amazing women that, you know, deserve more of a place on there, and so many more stories and so many good surfers that it's hard for me to comprehend.
Luana Silva, you can see her there in 10th place. She is not highlighted at the moment, and the reason for that is we've got a replay of the 2022 final between Gabriella Bryan and Isabella Nichols in the next heat. One of those surfers is going to be moving up into 10th position, so Luana Silva is going to be relegated to the Challenger Series, unfortunately. I'm really disappointed about that because for me, Luana is one of that next generation superstars. Hasn't really kind of clicked into her best surfing in the Championship Tour jersey just yet, but I really hope she has a great run on the Challenger Series because she's got a lot more to show us in the future, I think.
Oh, she definitely does, and I think she's a great Challenger Series surfer. The waves on the Challenger Series really suit her surfing, and she's still so young. She's got so much of her career ahead of her. As much as it's devastating to not make the cut here in Margaret River, I think this isn't the last time we're going to be seeing her Lulu on tour for sure.
There was tears yesterday. There will be tears today. Some of the tears yesterday, though, were in celebration, emotional moments. Kelly Slater wrapping things up, we've got to touch on it quickly. I thought Joe Tapel, Richie Lovett did an amazing job on the post show yesterday, and just hit Kelly with some great questions. I'm sure that you could check that out on worldsurfleague.com. But yeah, it was great to see, and you know, Kelly just seems to be in a fantastic spot. But it was wild watching him sort of process the end of his full-time career on the CT.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was just radical watching that moment, watching him get chaired up the stairs by, you know, T-Bone and Namu, and it felt special, and it felt special to be here. I mean, it felt like history, and it also felt like it was just interesting hearing what he had to say on that post show. I thought he spoke so well and so beautifully about just reflecting on everything and processing the whole journey. And, you know, I heard one of the quotes, he said, you know, it hasn't been all roses. And there was a couple of moments where he stopped himself and had to, you know, take a few deep breaths because he was getting emotional about the whole thing. And, you know, it quite could possibly have been, you know, the last time we see him full-time on tour. We don't know just yet, but it just felt monumental to me. And I don't even know, I still sit here as a loss for words because it's hard to process just the impact that he's had on the sport and the longevity of it all.
The tributes online on Instagram have been unbelievable. Love reading those this morning. But let's have a look at what's approaching us here. Good size set. Our competitors, they've been waiting for an opportunity here. And as so often happens here with a big lull, you get dragged out of position a little bit. And this one's going to cap on the outside. And Joanne Defay and India Robinson are yet to lock in their first rides here. Oof. It's beautiful Wednesday morning.
Yeah, beautiful Wednesday morning. That was a beautiful right-hander that just went through unridden, and women just slightly too far in for that. And I mean, that's one thing about main break. It sort of doesn't matter how far out you sit. One will always clean you up. And yeah, they're just going to reposition right now, and
you can see there they've used that white water as an indicator to where the bigger sets might break.
So easy to get sucked too far out too on a day like today. I mean, too far out, too far in. There's a few boils out there, you know, once you start figuring it out that you can use in the lineup, reef, and then there's a couple of markers actually when you cast your eyes back towards the hill that you've got to sort of line up together, and it sort of gives you a good indication of where you are on the reef. But if you don't have that completely figured out, it can be so easy to be too far out or too far in here, especially these offshore mornings. They'll blow you out to sea if it's a long lull like what there has been. I mean, that one just caught them out and they got caught inside, but kind of see them, looks like they repositioning a little bit further in here. But yeah, Margaret River's not an easy wave to figure out, that's for sure. It definitely takes a lot of experience, a lot of time you've got to put onto this wave. I always say you can't just rock up 2 days before the event and think you're going to win, because this wave has so many different faces. It breaks in all different conditions, from 2 foot to basically almost 20 foot. So looks like we're getting a couple more lines now, which is good.
The competitors have been given a lot of time in this lineup, 35 minutes, so we'll see them get a number of opportunities. No waves ridden just yet, but you know, the Surfline forecast, it's been a tricky one to deal with, but so far we've had amazing moments and one of the highest scoring days of competition all year.
Yep, let's check it out. Let's check out this Surfline forecast. So right now we've got this old southwest to south swell mix, and it's fading throughout today. You know, it's going to get smaller. We are seeing that energy has dropped off a bit, and it's evident. I mean, we've already seen it this morning, but the next couple of days it is going to drop off ever so slightly even more. We've got the period dropping as well, but as we look towards the weekend, we've got a bit of a larger southwest swell that's starting to build on Saturday and peak on Sunday. As we look to today, we've got 4 to 5 foot faces. In the afternoon, it is, like we said, that energy is dropping off, the swell height's dropping, the period's dropping. It is going to drop to about 3 to 5 foot. And then this afternoon, well, clean conditions this morning, but that wind, I think, is going to swing around onshore about lunchtime today. So if we look to the next 4 days in the forecast right now, you obviously see that it is going to trend downwards for a couple of days, get a little bit smaller. We might be able to hit up a couple of the wineries, a couple of the rock pools here in Western Australia. But yeah, the weekend is, you know, what Jesse was talking about with Stace this morning, that, you know, possible finals day.
Yeah, and the big goal is trimming this event down to a one-day contest to wrap it up, so you can really capitalise on the best waves at the back end of the window. 22.5 minutes to go here. Our competitors still holding position on that outside. This is always interesting to me, you know, at the start of a heat, who takes that inside position. It looks like Joanne's kind of happy for India to sit there at the moment. But things can change pretty quickly once the set waves start rolling in. They start really jostling for the inside, especially if it's a good-looking wave.
Yeah, definitely. I think when it's small like this too, it will be interesting to see what happens once it looks like there's a couple of lines rolling through. But when it's small, I mean, I usually out here at main break, any bigger than this, I wouldn't say take the first wave of the set. It's generally that second or third one. But today, when it's smaller, you just want size. And you just want a wave. I mean, we've already seen it. It's been very inconsistent. Looks like there's a set coming through now. So it's going to be so important to see who swings and who pulls the trigger here. It looks like the girls are moving right now towards this little lump coming through the lineup. But I mean, obviously India is trying to fight to keep a dream alive. But here we go.
Joanne Defay is going to get us started here. The round of 16 for the women. Draws off the bottom into the first section. Just transitioning to set up this second move. Really throws everything at it. Loses her fins for a moment, but somehow hangs on for the finish. So just a couple of turns, but Joanne Defay does well to survive that second move.
Oh, first takeaways from that is that it is tricky out there, and that offshore is strong. You could see it on that first manoeuvre. She went up just that slightly bit too high. She got a bit caught up there. You could see all the spray blowing off the back of the wave. Let's have a look here. Joanne just that little bit further in. She got into this one. India to let her go, but just here she gets that little bit caught up. You can just see how much spray is blowing off the back of the wave. She did so well to hang on to that last turn there. Also, with only 20 minutes left in this heat, it was kind of critical that I think she made that last turn. She did really well to stick this manoeuvre here, but she just went so high, and that offshore is so strong this morning. She kind of pulled that turn back just a little bit because she could see that this one was peeling off down the line too. Another thing that's going to happen today, because it is a little bit smaller, the wave's going to be breaking further in on the reef. They're going to hit that brick section quicker. They're going to hit the inside reef quicker, which means they're going to stand up and run off.
What about the strength just to hang on to that move there?
Well, I mean, we know she's so fit, right? Joanne is absolutely obsessed with being, you know, her fitness, her strength, her conditioning, obviously working with her husband so much. And I mean, it was just evident right there. I think this will be, you know, a decent score for Joanne.
You watch Joanne too just adjust. She's incredibly savvy, really smart. She'll pull those turns under that lip next time and not get sort of in a position where she's in danger of kind of getting blown off her board. But a 4.83, that's a positive start for the surfer from Reunion Island, who's surfing in her 10th year now on the championship tour, and she's had a remarkable career, multiple victories, stitching up her 6th win over there in Portugal earlier in the season, but also she's never finished outside the top 10. Last year she finished 11th, but she missed half the season due to an injury. So Joanne Defay's been a very consistent, strong performer for a long time, and she never backs down to a big name. That's what I love about her.
Yeah, definitely. I think what's impressive for me too is she took a few years to get on tour, and once she got on though, it's like something clicked inside her brain. This sort of new level of commitment and determination, and just something that I wasn't seeing on the qualifying series. I mean, I'm a similar age to Joanne, so I was on there at the same time as her, and something changed within her mindset. And I mean, it's, you know, what you just said then. I mean, she hasn't finished a year, you know, obviously except for that year previously outside of the top 10. I mean, it's just so consistent. I feel like she's constantly refining her craft. She's constantly just trying to see where, you know, she can just squeeze that extra 1% from every moment. And I mean, you just look at the results this year that we've seen from her.
Amazing. And Joanne was at one point in her younger years, her amateur career, considering throwing the professional surfing game away. You know, she didn't have a whole lot of sponsorship backing. She was coming through in a period where you had, you know, the two greatest surfers that we've ever had on the championship tour. They were at the top end of the ratings. And then there was also some really big names just below them. So it was a difficult period to break through. And Joanne Defay, you know, to her credit, and with some, you know, the support of family and friends, but also the support of a fellow surfer from representing France, Jeremy Flores. He kind of got behind her, saw her potential, and helped fund her campaign to make the championship tour, which was fantastic. And here she is, you know, a multiple champion, a surfer who's been to the WSL finals a couple of times now, and is really well poised to have another run at a world title this year.
Oh, and yeah, it's looking good. Great signs already. I mean, 2 fifths and the last 2 events she's, you know, made that final. I mean, she only just lost that bell in the last 10 seconds to Katie Simmons. I mean, Katie, hats off to her, you know, made it happen in those last 10 seconds. But that bell was sort of in the grasp of Joanne's hands, and it was seeming like she was going to go back-to-back wins, Portugal to bells. But yeah, I think we're yet, kind of what we were saying before, like I yet to see her really sort of click into gear here at main break. And I mean, she ended up in that elimination round, which is, you know, we haven't seen her there this year. And I think, yeah, I think she's hungry, and I think she's got something to prove right now, and she looks fired up.
She's the ultimate example of, you know, just what grit and determination can get you if you truly dedicate yourself to your dreams. Also represented a country at the Tokyo Olympics, had a 9th place finish there. Will represent France again in Tahiti, and that is probably, you know, going to be a really good chance for France to win a medal, because Joanne Defay on a reef break left-hander, we've seen it in the past, just deadly.
Oh my goodness, her backhand is amazing. I mean, her forehand's incredible too, and I feel like she's refined that so much. But I mean, obviously coming from Reunion and growing up on that big long left-hander there, she's just impeccable. I think back to her wins, you know, the year that we stopped at the event here, she went up to Uluwatu, got the win. I think about Fiji, just how good she is there, and I think knowing that the tour is going to be going back there this year, I mean, she's going to be deadly. Yeah,
for sure. She'll be deadly there. She'll definitely be working on her backhand tube riding. I mean, her turns over those coral reefs are unbelievable, but the tube riding, she's going to have to really sharpen up to have a shot at an Olympic medal, Joanne Defay. But she's pretty well situated at the moment out here in this lineup. 4.83, hasn't been a whole lot of waves. Yet to see India Robinson tap into one, but she doesn't need a heap to get through into first place. We're going to take a quick break. Gabriella Bryan and Isabella Nichols will be coming up next.
So this is Luna. Luna just caught one of the biggest waves of the day. How old are you, Luna?
I'm 10 years old.
10 years old and absolutely charging. Hi girls, welcome. This is probably the second Rising Tides for a lot of you. I'm the owner of Queen and Me. This business I started for the next generation like yourselves, and it's to inspire, empower and educate you along your journey to achieve everything you can. There's going to be some of your favourite surfers out there, and I want to encourage you guys to chat with them, ask them questions.
What's your name? Amali? Nice to meet you, Amali. I'm Tyler.
The cards you see behind you, they're called values cards. Your goal is your end goal, right? Some of you might have goals to do with surfing, another sport. Values are the steps you take to get to that end. Surfing, another sport. Values are the steps you take to get to that end goal.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you get the best wave of your life?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you almost get a barrel?
Yeah.
Almost, yep.
It's definitely been a dream of mine to get onto the tour. I think it would just be super cool going around surfing all these waves.
You love to see it, just buzzing grommets around the event sites on the Championship Tour schedule. Rising Tides is always a hit. Joanne Defay up on a second wave here. Good looking calf to get started. This wave looking a little better than her last with the choice of manoeuvres as she brings it through to the inside now. It's going to be very difficult for India Robinson to chase her down, and in frequency and the number of set waves that have rolled through in this first heat of the morning. And Joanne, she's just gotten moving a little quicker than India, who's up now with a strong first turn out on the open face. Works her way through a big frontside carve, brings it through to the inside, and again, just swooping off the top. So India Robinson making her move and making that ride count.
Yeah, that was a good answer back to Joanne, and she needed to get the ball rolling. I mean, 11 minutes left on the clock, but let's just go back to Joanne's wave. Instantly, my thoughts are she's just made those adjustments and registered exactly what we were kind of talking about, that first wave she took off on, super windy, offshore strong. Here she goes again.
Having a look at wave number 3 here, Joanne, a sleepier start to this ride. Can she make up for it with the second move? Hits it under the lip, drives off the bottom, goes to that layback now, and she's going to kick out. So didn't really rip into that first section the way she would have liked, but Joanne Defay has a couple of scores on the way now. I think India Robinson's going to get herself right on track here too, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think India Robinson, that was a great answer back from her. They were two big calves. She really buried the rail on both of those. Finished off with a carve as well. Probably not as strong a finish as what she probably wanted. But yeah, back to Joanne. I just feel like she just made those adjustments so well. Let's break this one down here now. So up into the lip, nice carve. She didn't go too high there. Cranks it there for that second one and brings it through to the inside here for a little bit more of a snap. So 3 maneuvers there for Joanne, and then out behind her was India. These two big turns were really well done. She sent so much spray flying, really leaning off that back foot, and gets one more carving finish there. So just ejects right in front of those rocks. This was Joanne's third wave, so she gets a bit hung up there. That wave just, I feel like the wave selection maybe just letting her down ever so slightly. This one just ran off. She goes to the layback there. She knows she needs a little bit of variety, but for me, Joanne's second wave was really well done and just a great read.
Yeah, wave selection is funny today. It's sort of less about selection and just like pounce on any energy that you see rolling in at this stage. But we've got the numbers rolling through. Going to be pretty close. Joanne's second ride and India's first, which is going to put India in a good spot to have a run at the victory here too. She won't need a whole lot, you wouldn't think. And remember that this heat is crucial for India Robinson. She was the main player inspiring the Groms here during that Rising Tides activation. It was great to see. She actually has her own little group, Queen in Me, and helps to empower and inspire young female surfers around the world. It's great to see. I think about this matchup, and I think about India and just having grown up in Victoria and just dealing with that same kind of Southern Ocean energy and conditions and the wind. I feel like she'll be pretty at home out there at the moment. But again, really difficult draw, Joanne Defay, who's good everywhere on the schedule.
Yeah, and she's just had so much experience, 10 years on tour, and as we see, India.
Well, she had a 6.33 on her first ride. Picking this one off on the inside. Nice carve again to get started. Big hit there. She's thrown some great combinations together on her road through this point in the comp. And she has just finished A really strong ride here. Only needs a 5.01 at this stage to move into the lead, but we still have a number for Joanne to drop as well. Well, that was solid.
Yeah, it was. And you know what? That wave face was, she's just making sure she's all right now. But that wave was so clean. And what actually happened is the girls were paddling out. And while they were paddling out, a bigger set actually came through the lineup. And as that set came through the lineup, it cleaned everything up. And that one was this little rogue one that came through underneath. And she just swung and was like, wow, this wave face looks so clean, and just banked 2 turns here. We'll just have a look at this. Just this wave face is just really clean. You can just see it right here. No rivets. Goes straight up into that carbon maneuver, and then a bit more of a vertical approach there for the second. And gets the finish. So really impressed with that. This is going to obviously be her backup score if, you know, maybe match her first wave.
Yeah, you can see the commitment that India's surfing with at the moment. The hallmark of her surfing in true form is the big spray off that rail, and that was a fantastic execution. Really committed to that final move, even with that reef starting to pop up out of the water there. Incredibly strong ride there for India. Number on the way. Kaipo, a huge day of competition coming our way this round of 16. It's going to bring a lot of emotion.
Yeah, you're right, Ron. The Bailey Ladders leaderboard is full of scenarios, both relegation to the CS scenarios as well as qualification for the CT scenarios. Let's look at the must-win heats and the must-win surfers. You talked about India Robinson in a must-win situation. Gabriella Bryant and Isabella Nichols must win this heat, so someone's going to get relegated to the Challenger Series out of this heat here. Alyssa Spencer must win. Sophie McCulloch must win. Sally Fitzgibbons must win. Sawyer Lindblad must win. Let's talk about qualification for the rest of the CT year and next year. Lakey Peterson, she wins this heat. Lakey's qualified. Tatiana Weston Webb, she wins this heat. Tati is qualified. Those are the scenarios right here from the Bailey Ladders leaderboard.
Wow, man, that is huge. So much to consider with each of these matchups. Thank you, Kaipo. And, you know, this is also an event where if you're at the top end of the rankings, you know, despite the big story being the cut here, you don't want to lose momentum. You don't want to start slipping away from, you know, that #1 position, especially in Joanne DeFay's case. This is an opportunity on the live rankings for her to potentially jump up into the lead. And she is likely going to be pushed back into second spot in a moment. We're still waiting on a number to come through for India, who just surfed her last wave so well. Joanne maybe leaning on one of her strengths here, going to the backhand.
Yeah, going to the backhand, it was a smaller wave there, but she just had a roll of the dice. And that last one for Joanne, that came through to 5.5, so that's locked in as her backup. Yeah.
Wow. Look at the number, though, for India Robinson, the best of the heat so far, 7.67. She's out in front.
Wow. That is incredible, and she is fighting for her to keep her dream alive on tour right now. And I looked at that wave, and it was super clean. It's just one thing that I noticed straight away. That first set rolled through the lineup. It was the cleanest face wave. Didn't have all that texture on the face of the wave. We've got a lot of texture because it's so offshore this morning. It was really clean, and she was able to bank 3 turns, 7.67. Big score for this morning, and got the world #2 on the road.
Oh, that's so insane. And also just the fact that, you know, you get surfed up a good wave out here. You've got the pressure of the cut, and to surf it the way she did was really brilliant. So India Robinson not laying down here. Joanne DeFay with just under 4 minutes to go is after a big number now, a 7.51. You think about India's career, a great junior career, a lot of victories. She won on the QS, she won on the Challenger Series, but she hasn't had a victory on the CT, and that's what she needs to save her place on the Championship Tour. But guess what? We've seen it here before.
We have, coming up in the next heat.
Yeah, Isabella Nichols hadn't had a CT win, needed to win to stay on tour, and she did it a couple of years ago. So, you know, it's not impossible. You're saying there's a chance.
There is a chance, 100%. There's always a chance, and Isabella Nichols has proved just that. I mean, I think at Bells I was saying it a lot about people that were below that, you know, I mean, it's possible. I mean, you can do an Isabella Nichols, you can come to Margaret River with just one hell of a job in front of you, you know, and you can make it happen. So, I mean, she's the inspiration, and coming up in that next heat, I mean, this next heat I'm excited for. I mean, it's a rematch of that final. There's so much on the line. It's do or die for both of these women, and I'm excited to call it.
Oh, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
But, right now, with just over 2.5 minutes to go, we're going to see if the world number 2 can rebound. But you've got to just tip your cap to what India Robinson threw down on this 7.67. Look at the spray coming off that rail. She cut a deep line in that wall.
She's so powerful. And then I just like how she mixed it up here. A little bit more of a snap approach in the lip. And I actually thought, okay, maybe this is just two-turn combo, but the wave wasn't done. She gets around this section, identifies this little closeout section, and just taps it again. So really, really well done for India, and just impressive to surf that way with so much pressure right now.
You also have that side wash, that vice-like situation on the inside. She's checking her face there. She might have hit her face on the rocks maybe. She's just shaking it off there. But India Robinson, well positioned at the moment, the 23-year-old. You know, you've got to just be so impressed with what those surfers below the cut line are doing. A lot of them are doing at the moment. It's just so much pressure to deal with, and to go out there and throw down against surfers who've had incredible form, whose confidence levels are just absolutely soaring at the moment, and to get yourself in this kind of situation, it's super commendable.
Oh, definitely. Yesterday, I got to take my hat off to the Pupo brothers. I thought that was a really inspiring performance, just watching them. That, you know, they were both out there at the same time, not in the same heat, but I thought that was inspiring, just going back to back and keeping that dream alive. And you know, that next heat, they're now matched up together, which is just, isn't that heartbreaking? I mean, it just seems a bit premature, doesn't it? I mean, how's the family going to go watching that one? It's just, I mean, how do you even go about that as being a brother going out, being like, okay, well, someone's dream's about to be crushed.
Oh.
There's a couple of matchups in that round that I think are premature. Gabby Medina, John Florence.
The men's round of 16 has just taken shape beautifully. It's going to be really fun to watch. But right now, just 30 seconds to go. Joanne Fay, will she get another opportunity? Basically needs an excellent number here. India Robinson, maintaining her cool, was so selective on the outside. Took the inside position, didn't fight for the first wave. Gave it to Joanne, backed herself, and had trust in this location, and that the surf gods would deliver a couple of decent waves for her to rip into, and she's certainly done it. 6.33 on her first wave, a 7.67 on her second scoring ride, and India Robinson is going to keep the dream alive here.
Whew, that was pretty exciting. You know, she surfed basically less than a 15-minute heat. It took her a long time to get that first wave. So to hold that composure for so long is just super impressive, considering the spot she is in at the moment on the rankings.
Make no mistakes about it. That was an upset result.
Was it
With
ever?
everything we've seen this year, you know, India definitely had her work cut out. But congratulations to the Victorian.
Yeah.
She'll live to surf another heat here at the Western Australia Margaret River Pro. The first heat of the round of 16 is in the bag. We've got a replay of the 2022 final coming up. Gabriella Bryan will surf against Isabella Nichols. The Western Australia Margaret River Pro is brought to you by Tourism Western Australia, official tourism partner of the Western Australia Margaret River Pro. By Bonsoy, the official milk of the World Surf League. By Rusty, official apparel of the Western Australia Margaret River Pro. And by Shiseido, official sunscreen partner of the World Surf League. Look at this morning, offshore breeze blowing and clean conditions for our competitors and massive matchups through the round of 16. Gabrielle Bryan and Isabella Nichols surfed against one another in the final of the 2022 Western Australia Margaret River Pro. Both of them saving their place on the championship tour, surviving the cut that year. Not going to be the case this season though. One of these surfers is going to be relegated to the Challenger Series. And it is going to be a fantastic final clash. Their head-to-head history. Obviously Isabella got the win back in 2022 in the final, but they have had another clash since, and it was Gabrielle Bryan getting a victory back on Isabella. So one win apiece. This is the tie break, and what a crucial heat it is.
Oh, this is, I mean, I feel for both of these women being matched up, because obviously there's going to be heartbreak at the end of this heat. It's you know, you can't get around it. But I think it's going to be a great matchup. When I just compare these two surfers, I feel like they've got a different approach. They're obviously both regular footers, natural footers, but they've got a slightly different approach. I feel like Bella is a little bit more precise, a little bit more vertical, whereas Gabby, in my eyes, is probably one of the most powerful women on tour at the moment, and able to throw so much spray. And both these sort of approaches work well at Margaret River. Obviously, Bella's had a win out here. Gabby's got second in that final against her. So they've both had a lot of experience out here, a lot of reps on the board. And that year in 2022, that we had a lot of different conditions. It actually got big there for a while. So both of these women have seen many faces of main break and have got a lot of experience out here.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Isabella Nichols, she has that incredibly great, strong hit in the pocket.
Yeah.
Gabrielle Bryan, for me, has the strongest frontside carve on the Women's Championship Tour.
Agreed. Yeah, I second that.
There's some pretty good ones too. I mean, Molly Picklam's got a mean frontside
She
hack.
does.
But I think Gabrielle Bryan, the speed that she carries at the moment, I don't think anyone cuts a deeper gouge in the face of a right-hander than Gabrielle Bryan.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. We've seen them, you know, Gabby's really trying to hold that inside position there. You see that Isabella just tried to challenge her for it for one hot little second. You can just see that determination on Gabby's face. Obviously, she's working with Richard Dog Marsh, and I wonder if that's the strategy. Hold that inside position, be assertive.
Yeah.
You know, make sure you get that first exchange. And they would have watched that last heat. I mean, there was a lot of time that surpassed without a set coming through, and super important that when one of those sets comes through, you've got to make the most of it. And in that last heat, those women actually missed that first set that came through the lineup. There was that really good right that ran off. We saw it. They were too far in. And then when they were actually paddling back out as well, another set came through. So, I don't know. I just feel like you've got to be converting when those sets are coming through. You've got to be taking off on one of them.
Just looking at the matchup and really starting to compare the surfing between the two. You know, Isabella, her strength is really a tight, critical pocket turn. You know, on a right-hand point break, she's absolutely lethal. But I just wonder if her weapon's going to be neutralised a little bit by this offshore wind.
That's a good pickup for sure. I think she's going to really... If I think back to that last heat and I think back to India's highest score, that 7, that happened on a really clean face wave. I feel like Bella's going to have to try and find those ones that really have that scoop, whereas it's a good point, Ron, because someone like Gabby can sort of do those big power hacks on that open face, and she is, you know, just really strong physically, and I feel obviously Bella is too, but it's just going to be interesting once this first exchange happens, and just to see where the form's at from both surfers.
Almost comparable, the styles of surfing between the competitors in the first heat and these two out here at the moment.
Yeah.
India Robinson with those, you know, kind of heavy rail turns.
Yep.
Lays that board over with real purpose, gets a lot of leverage. When she rips through those carves. Gabrielle Bryan, she's a little bit more explosive, her power. Can hold that rail line for a long time, but generally seems to really rip through those frontside calves. So we'll see how it works. I think the first goal for any of the competitors today is finding a nice canvas to work with.
Yeah, catch a wave.
Yep.
Two waves.
always the case, but I think, you know, typically when there's a lot of consistency in the sets, people can take chances. You can mix up your approach out there. A little different and inconsistent surf and with a strong offshore blowing.
That, and there is an element of luck also, you know, and we talked about it yesterday, but when conditions get smaller, and I think this happens at every location, it just sort of, exactly what you said, it neutralizes things and it evens up the playing field a bit more. There's a lot more risk with, you know, choosing to go whatever wave of the set it might be, whether that's the first wave, the second wave, and with long lulls like we've already seen this morning. I mean, that first heat went through with about, you know, 15 minutes before they'd caught their first, before Joanne decided to pull the trigger. It's just, but, you know, you would have thought in that situation, okay, Joanne's already got a good score on the board, but it was India who actually didn't pull the trigger on the first wave who got the jump in that heat. So, yeah, when it's small like this, there is definitely a bit more luck involved for sure.
Well, these two competitors, you know, they've lived their life, their tour life around that cut line. Isabella Nichols finished 8th in her rookie season, 2021. 10th place finish in 2022. 2023, she finished 15th, surged back on the Challenger Series. And then Gabrielle O'Brien has had a couple of 9th place finishes on the CT, and here they find themselves battling to get themselves elevated into the top 10 now. So they're those surfers who are knocking on the door of, you know, getting themselves into that final 5 picture. There's not a whole lot separating the competitors in 6th place on the rankings and those sitting in 10th. It's just a heat win or two.
It is, and I just think, you know, there's only 10 once we get past this event, and for me it's unbelievable, because I just feel like there's so many amazing women surfers, and especially just to have only 10 on tour, I really struggle with that personally. I think there's just there's room for more, and I feel like I feel for the women that are on that bubble and that hang there. You know, that is what their tour life has been, as we sort of see one smaller wave sort of roll through the lineup now. But I mean, you know, I'm good friends with Laura Aniver, obviously fellow commentator as well, and she, you know, we've shared stories about that and how she, you know, lived her life sort of around that 10th spot, you know, that spot where, you know, you're not knowing if you're going to make it or not, and you're going to have to do both tours. And at that point it was the qualifying series and the world tour, and you're doing so many events in a year, and just what that does to your mindset, just constantly not knowing if you're going to make it or not, and sort of living in a bit of limbo. And as we see some dolphins go through the face of that wave. Beautiful wildlife here in Western Australia. Oh,
the wildlife here is so awesome, so unique. You know, kangaroos everywhere. Got to be careful for them, but yeah, they're all over the place. Up at the Margaret River Golf Club, you know, it's a good place if you want to go see some kangaroos to just drive up to the car park, and they're just all over the place. So that's a good zone. But the quokkas.
Quokkas? Oh, right nest.
Up that
Quokka
way.
selfie.
That's the best. But, you know, great snorkeling in this region as well. But the dolphins, they always turn up here at Surfers Point, say good day on a new day of competition to see what's going on. They're riding a wave on the inside here at the moment. But yeah, just on 24 minutes to go here. And yeah, I guess the cool thing about the new system is with the cut, you know, you don't have to do double duty. You can put all your focus on those first events of the season. And if you're relegated to the CS, then you shift your focus. So, I mean, you got to regather yourself.
I still feel like it's mentally draining, because, you know, you finally get on tour and you're like, wow, this is so good. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I've only got the 5 events and now I'm back to the Challenger. And I just feel like having to mentally readjust, and I guess it's how you look at it, right? Like, you've got to be able to reframe that and be like, okay, it's not a step back. And I feel like someone who was really good at doing that is actually coming up in a few heats' time is Sally Fitzgibbons. I mean, I heard her talk about it when she got relegated to the Challenger Series, and there was a piece that WSL put together, and she was just saying, you know, I'm not looking at it as a step backwards. I'm sort of looking at it as a new opportunity and trying to find that new inspiration again and get inspired. And she was someone who did that really, really well.
Yeah. Well, that's the athlete's perspective.
Yeah.
But it's without question, you're getting knocked off to it. You're going back.
It's heartbreaking.
Oh, it's you're regathering yourself and trying to prepare yourself mentally, but it's brutal. That's why there's so much emotion attached to days like this. We saw it yesterday. We saw so many close heats in the back end of the round of 32 for the men. It was amazing. Ian Gentile, Kate Matson, they lost out in in heats that really could have gone either way. It was brutal, and the emotion was on show.
Yeah.
That'll be the same case today. Not so much in the first heat, though, because obviously Joanne Defay's already guaranteed her place on this championship tour for another year and a half. She's well situated, or another year, I should say. And then, of course, India Robinson, just a remarkable performance to kick off the day. Big numbers against someone who's right up the top in that final 5 picture at the moment.
Yeah, I was surprised not to. I just feel like Joanne, I was already saying it in that previous heat, but she's obviously had so much amazing momentum. So for her not to kind of click into gear here at main break was surprising to me. But yeah, a lot of pressure for India as we just look at how beautiful and crystal clear that water is right now. Just every shade of blue. It's just looking fantastic. And you can just see how easily accessible this wave is through that little channel there and out around to the right of the screen. But yeah, it's a beautiful place here in Margaret River, and I'm lucky to call it home.
You sure are. Can't even imagine what it was like just rocking up to the beach every day here.
Oh,
pristine.
It is pristine. So many different waves to choose from, and I wonder if we're going to see a set come through this lineup.
Yeah, this stretch of coastline down here in the southwest is unbelievable. I mean, you don't need to talk about the spots. What you need to do is come and visit Western Australia, get yourself a car, and make sure you get insurance, because your hire car can take a flogging here. But it's 48 kilometres of coast that you can explore, and there is so many little setups, so many little nooks, great little reef breaks everywhere, bombies galore if you're into big waves.
Oh yeah.
It's something special for sure if you're a surfer.
Definitely. I just can't. I'm such an advocate for this region, but we don't need to talk about the spots. Get out there and explore, and I'm sure if you do a bit of adventuring, a bit of talking to a few locals, they'll help you out. But I mean, not just in the surfing realm, but if you're into amazing produce, if you're into wineries, walking trails, we've got the beautiful Cape to Cape as we see a heat restart.
Okay, so no opportunity for the competitors there in the first 15 minutes. So they will get a fresh clock here. Let's hope we can get this one back underway in just a moment, because we've got a couple of set waves rolling through here at the moment. Gabriella Bryan up against Isabella Nichols. And no one getting into that wave. Could be still some set waves rolling our way. How much of an effect on those incoming swell lines does the offshore breeze have?
Oh, look, Western Australia, you know what WA stands for too, right? Windy always.
Love it.
Yeah, we got a lot of wind here, and I mean, obviously we get these beautiful offshores in the morning, but you can just, I think it's just got to go back to, it's a positioning thing. We just saw it right then. They were just out of position for that last little set that came through. The wind's going to blow you out of position. If you're not always triangulating with your lineups, you're going to easily get out of position. There's been a couple of waves, but women just repositioning now. So hopefully we see a little bit more consistency.
34 minutes remaining, and a fresh clock. 35 minutes for these two competitors to lock in a couple of big scores. We do know that this is a do or die heat for Gabriella Bryan and Isabella Nichols. One of them is going to be relegated to the Challenger Series, and the progression of either Gabriella Bryan or Isabella Nichols is going to push Luana Silva out of that top 10 picture. So, a couple of surfers are going to fall on the wrong side of the cut line at the completion of this round of 16 heat. on this beautiful Wednesday morning.
Wow. I'm interested to see what's going to happen here throughout this day. I feel like you can maybe already see a little bit of that energy just fading away ever so slightly. When we got here, you know, obviously on dusk and, or dawn, sorry. And I was drinking my coffee. I feel like there was a little bit more consistency out there during the free surf. I was watching a few of the women warm up. But you just got to wonder how that's feeling for them right now. Hopefully they got a warm wetsuit on because that offshore breeze is pretty cold right now. Haven't done too much moving around.
No, it's for sure. You know, you probably go out there in a short arm steamer. The water's been relatively warm, but it's that wind that'll get you on a morning like this. But Gabriella Bryan and Isabella Nichols, it's a replay of the 2022 final. Both these surfers were looking to save themselves from the cut, and they did it with a magic run through the contest. Isabella and Gabriella both chasing their first championship tour victory, and the waves were firing.
Yeah, that's my first. I just look at this and I'm like, wow, look at the surf that they got. And I mean, Bella just put on an incredible performance. These dreamy conditions that we see here in autumn in Western Australia, just so glassy. But yeah, I mean, here we go. Just Gabby just putting that power on display here. Couple of big hacks, but yeah, both these women just kept the dream alive with this final performance, and just super impressive and so clutch.
Yeah, Isabella Nichols with a couple of 6-point rides, put herself in a fantastic position. It was a dream come true for her, and she's experienced it all here at Mainbreak. She's won the event, saved her spot on tour, and then she's not survived the cut here as well last season. But this was a moment that she'll never forget. And she just talks about how much she loves this region. She would love to move here one day.
Yeah, I just literally was about to say that. Every time I talk to her, she's like, you live in the best place on earth, Felicity. She's like, I could totally live here.
Looking at the head-to-head stats I mentioned before, Isabella obviously getting the jump in the final, but Gabriella Bryan getting one back on Felicity this year.
Yeah, I think both women are so hungry, obviously, to get through this heat, and I'm hoping we see some opportunities start to roll through the lineup. But one thing I just think back to that 2022 year is we just saw every different face of Mainbreak. We saw small waves, big waves, unruly. There was a really big day there, and the finals day turned on. I mean, we just saw footage from that, but it was glassy. There was not a drop of water out of place. And yeah, it was just those beautiful autumn conditions that we get here in Western Australia that makes it the best time of year to come for surf.
Magic. Their second heat was actually at J-Bay. And it was a win in the elimination round for Gabriella Bryan over Isabella there. So, got to break the deadlock here. And one of them's going to go 2-1, and this is such a crucial one. You know, I think they were both elated once they made the final in 2022 because, well, Gabriella certainly was. She'd already shored up her position, and Isabella Nichols with the victory got it done. But time ticking by, still no wave ridden for these two competitors. Having a look through the heat draw, we've got a lot to look forward to today in this round of 16. Amazing matchups. Up next, we will see Molly Picklum up against Alyssa Spencer. And then the fun keeps coming.
Yeah, the fun definitely keeps coming up. In one heat, obviously we've got world number 1, Katie Simmers, coming up against Sophie McCulloch. Sophie has a big job ahead of her here too. But one heat that I am excited for is Heat 7, Caroline Marks, Sally Fitzgibbons.
Oh, yeah.
Sally was on a heater in her last heat. She just put on a clinic, and listening to her talk after that heat, debrief with her dad Martin on the stairs, you know, it just seemed like they'd been working on a lot. She'd been working on her boards, and to finally have something like that click into momentum in a heat, it just felt like relief for her. Like, I'm finally doing it in a heat, and that heat right there, I'm excited to watch for sure.
Yeah, it was a big moment for Sally, and now she's got to find, you know, probably about 4 more of those moments if she's going to win this event. But yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. There'll be a lot of clarity probably at the end of this round of 16, you'd think. Probably some we heard Kaipo say it earlier with his update. There is some surfers who can guarantee their place on the CT with a heat win.
Yeah.
In this round of 16.
Well, I think Kipe's already said it, but if Lakey wins her heat, she qualifies. That's heat 4. And then heat 6, Tatiana's up against Tyler. And if Tatiana wins that heat, she qualifies. So exactly what you said. We're going to have a lot of clarity after this round. And I'd say a bit of heartbreak too. A few tears.
It's a long journey in after you get yourself a heat win. You've got to come through that keyhole. The fans, they want to get a piece of you. You have the debrief with your coach, and then finally you get a chance, if you win your heat, to have a chat to Stace. Let's hear what India Robinson's got to say.
India, what a way to start the day. What a heat win.
Yeah, that one was it was a slow one, but I feel like I held my nerve pretty well there, and honestly I feel good on the wave, so I just feel like if I keep giving myself opportunity, then I feel comfortable.
Talk to us about the paddle into that wave, the effort, the kicking, the scratching.
Yeah, I think I left it a bit late to make the decision on that wave, and as it got closer, I was like, I need to go this wave for sure. So yeah, I gave it a good kick, but it is really windy out there, and it doesn't look like it from the beach. But luckily the strength and conditioning is starting to pay off, and I can get into them.
Certainly is. Talk to us about the decision making, not only to catch the wave, but when you're on the wave, turn selection is so critical. You don't want to go too high up on the face on a day like today. Yeah,
exactly. I think that's the key, is knowing where to place your turns. And like I said, I think I'm really comfortable out here, and my turns fit the wave well. So I know that I'm not really going into the lip here. I'm sticking to my rail game. That's what works for me, and making sure I click that end section as well.
Certainly did that well in this heat. You've got a lot of friends and family here, but I'm sure there's plenty of crew back at home tuning in. Did you want to say good morning?
Yeah, hello to the fam and friends watching from home. Thank you for the support. Couldn't do this without you guys, and yeah, let's keep going.
Well done, India.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Stace. India Robinson. Big upset result for her. You know, she's got a tough road, not just because she's got to get all the way to the final and win this contest, but as the lowest seed, she's going to constantly be facing those surfers who are in red-hot form and having just powered their way through those first 4 events of the season. Out there in the lineup at the moment, we're seeing some set waves roll in.
They're really out of position. They're almost sitting on the left, and I understand why. They're jostling. Gabrielle Bryant really wants this inside position, but the women, they're moving back over now, but honestly, I'm turning around here, and yeah, they're just out. They were so far over on the left before, like that set came through, and they were in the channel on the left. So they've just, I'm wondering if they're actually going to shift back. They're still jostling. Gabby's still jostling for that inside position, and there's been a couple of waves roll through.
Obviously weren't paying attention to the first heat where Joanne DeFay got the first ride and ended up losing. But what happened in the first 15 minutes here before the restart is there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity. There really wasn't, and the surfers were still jostling for that position. Since the restart, there's been a couple of set waves, and they've been off the spot. So I think what will likely happen here is, you know, in the event that no one catches a wave in this, you know, fresh 15 minutes, I don't think we'll see another restart. Often the head judge will deem if there's opportunity that's been missed by the competitors because of poor positioning.
Yeah.
They'll just say, you know what? You blew it. You've got 20 minutes to battle it out. Get in position and stop pushing each other off the spot.
Yeah, I just keep craning my neck around and just getting a visual on where they are in the lineup behind me, but they're still so far on the left. They're brushing shoulders right now. They're literally touching each other as they're trying to paddle into this wave.
It's a fight to stay on tour. And Felicity, you've spoken about it. It's the same situation at any event on the schedule and in any lineup, even when you're free surfing. You know, so much of a good ride starts before you get to your feet. It's your positioning, and at the moment, these two aren't really thinking about surfing. They're thinking about who's going to get that first opportunity.
They are, but I also, you know, yes, I've said they've been out of position, extremely out of position. However, I understand there's so much at stake here.
Here we go. We're going to get things started now. And it's Gabrielle Bryant who's going to get into the first ride here. Drawing off the bottom into the pocket. Big carve to get started. Great rail work, as to be expected, as she rolls through. Get some more work done on the inside before the wave shallows out and comes to a close. So fought for the inside, made it count, and we'll see what kind of number she dishes up here.
Yeah, well, she's been hanging on that inside position for basically, 25 minutes plus. She needed to take the inside here, and she needed to take this first wave to make all that count. And this is the first wave, goes into that big hack. She just displays so much water, little jab in the pocket there, comes around this inside section. The wave's getting very small here. That was a smaller inside wave that she took off on here, and she was very deep on the reef on the right. And, I mean, great opening turn there, and I think that's just, gives credit to everything we were talking about, just how much power she has and how much water she displaces. So if we just break this down here, just look how much of this board is going to end up in the water there. Just beautiful power surfing, traditionalist surfing. And she's going to go straight up into the little jab here in the pocket. She realizes that this section here is a little bit steeper and brings it through to the inside. But obviously now that priority's been established, we've got to be thinking that Isabella's obviously moved right on over and into position now. So no waves are probably going to get missed, I'd say.
That was really well surfed. She even threw a lot of water on that final section when the wave was starting to taper off before it bubbled out. I think each move was placed perfectly.
Yeah.
And the judges agree. 8 points for Gabriella Bryan, fighting for the inside, paid off.
Yeah.
At one point I thought, is she going to be too deep? And she did chase it for a second, but it set it up nicely for her.
Sometimes here at main break, when you have to really come around the section, it enables you to place that first maneuver in the most critical section of the wave. If you take off too wide on the right, you just automatically out on the face, and the turn isn't as critical. And I heard, I think it was Georgie Pitar yesterday talk about that, how he really was trying to come around the section and really line up that first maneuver, and we just saw Gabby do that. And I mean, wow, she waited a long time for that wave, and she jostled so hard for that inside position and converted. I mean, started off with an excellent score. That's exactly what you want to be doing.
Well, the battle to get into the top 10 here is well and truly alive, and it's a big advantage to Gabriella Bryan after that first ride. We'll see how Isabella Nichols responds in just a moment as some of the real favourites for the event get set to hit the lineup here. We're going to take a Bonsoy brew break. The round of 16 continues. It is a must-win situation for Isabella Nichols and for Gabriella Bryan out here, who had a heat restart. They were fighting for the inside position. Gabriella Bryan ultimately won that, took a wave, not a huge set, but surfed it so well that she turned in an excellent ride, an 8, and she is well and truly in the driver's seat at the moment as we get down to the 18-minute mark. Here's a replay of that excellent surfing.
Yeah, beautiful, clean face wave here, and this is what we've been talking about all morning. When we talk about Gabrielle O'Brien, we just talk about her being as one of the most powerful women on tour, and she's just really put that on display here, mixing it up with a jab in the pocket. And I love what you said, Ron. She brings it through to the inside here, and the wave is so small, but she still throws so much spray, just buckets here as she gets around this little section. And I mean, she waited, I mean, that was beautifully done. She waited so long for that, and to start off with an 8-point ride, that's got to feel good, and kind of putting Isabella in a very precarious position.
Timing those moves, you know, well today, and really accentuating how much water you move, and throwing it up into that offshore breeze can really add to your number as well. You know, it just shows how much power you're unleashing in that move. Gabrielle O'Brien, just brilliant from her. And Isabella Nichols going to have some work to do. Pressure's going to be on. Looks like we could have something approaching at the moment. Isabella's going to spot this wave and try and get herself well positioned on the apex, or just on the other side of the apex of the peak, to set up a big first turn herself. Let's see if this one stands up for her. Making her move. Is she well positioned? Because if she's not, you know Gabrielle O'Brien's going to swoop. Here she goes. The 2022 Western Australia Margaret River champ on the fight back here. Just taps through that first turn, but then swings the tail. Nice bit of release, great control. She'll ride out. It'll be a decent ride for the Queenslander as she looks to get herself into this heat.
That was just a great example of, you know, the two different approaches out here. I mean, Isabella Nichols just did exactly what we said she would do, and that's just go straight up into that snap in the lip, 2-turn combo. That last turn was really critical. Got a bit of release on the fins here. Let's have a look at it again. Waiting for this wave to get steep, goes into the lip for a little jab, and then that turn there, that was nice and critical on the end section. First turn for me, maybe she was safetying it just a little bit. Saw that this wave was going to close out, wanted to get to that end section and really put some authority on there, and she really did. So she just gets up here. She's just a bit more of a pivot here, and I think she's just eyed off down the lane. You can see her face, her eyes and her head already eye up this last section. She just went straight up into this, and getting a release. You know how hard that is right now with that offshore wind to commit to a turn above the lip and have that, you know, authority to come down with, you know, all that power, because there's going to be a lot of people, if you choose that turn today with this sort of offshore, I mean, you're quite easily going to get blown off the back of the wave.
Yeah, you're putting it right on the line. Isabella Nichols has responded very nicely here, and we're expecting a good score for this wave. You know, ultimately she wants 2 big hits, a massive combination. The wave just didn't really allow her enough time to commit to that first section, so she kept pointing down the line, but she made up for it. Yeah. That more horizontal approach through the first turn, that lateral approach, she made up for it with a really committed final hit, and the score is strong, 7.33. Isabella's back in it here.
It's exciting. I love this so much. I mean, it's exactly what she needed to do. I was a bit worried for her once I saw that big excellent score drop for Gabrielle O'Brien, but yeah, Isabella Nichols, 7.33 opening ride. She waited a very long time for that one, even longer than what Gabby did for her opening. So heat on the way here, and things are pretty close.
Just over 14 minutes to go. This is, you know, this is going to be decided possibly on the next exchange.
Yep.
You know, we did wait a long time to see these two both drop that first number. So who's going to hold their nerve? India Robinson spoke about holding her nerve in that last heat. She did it sensationally against the number 2 in the world to earn her place in the quarters. Let's have a look now at the epic rankings and see what's about to unfold here. Gabrielle O'Brien, Isabella Nichols sitting 11th and 12th respectively. One of them is jumping into the top 10 with a heat win here.
Oh, it's so clutch. I just absolutely cannot believe it. And the matchup, obviously, this was a final before, but see India Robinson, she's gone up to number 14 in the rankings. She won that last heat against Joanne Defay, so she's doing everything she can to keep her dream alive here, and still got some big heats coming up. Obviously, Sophie McCulloch, Alyssa Spencer and Sally Fitzgibbons all coming up, trying to surf to save their spot on tour.
Yeah, and India Robinson starting to make her climb, taking a few steps on the ladder already. From 16th up into 14th position, obviously still has a lot of work to do. Got to get to that final, get herself a victory to have a shot. Just under 13 minutes remaining here.
Oof.
And you know that huge mental blow that Gabrielle O'Brien threw at Isabella Nichols has just been received and returned. Because Gabriella's going to be really aware now, even though she had that incredible start, that Isabella's not going to go away here.
Yeah, I know.
Going to really challenge her.
Sometimes when you get those starts, you're like, oh, great, all right, I've got one in the bag here, and you're feeling really confident, and your competitor answers straight back with a 7.33, like, oh, damn. But there is sets on the way.
There is. Let's quickly check in with Matt Janoski out in the field.
So it's a battle of the backup scores. We've got Mike McCall, Isabella's coach. We're casting our eyes out to the horizon. A long wait for that first one, but it was worthy. Now she's right in the balance.
Yeah, it's definitely been a really slow heat. The swell is dropping, so it's a little bit of a shame. The girls did hassle and missed a few waves early, and now there's an exchange right now, which should be an important one. Looks like Gabriella just missed a wave. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting finish to the heat. I feel like them sitting around for a long time, they both surfed their waves really well because they probably were feeling a bit cold and stiff for sitting around for so long.
So Gabby back up and riding, live action.
Yeah, Gabrielle O'Brien, just a floating re-entry there, not a whole lot in that, but decides to finish this wave off anyway. Doesn't need anything to get herself up into the lead, so you know, even though she was probably thinking this isn't the wave that's going to win me this heat, she does say to herself, I can push the requirement up here for Isabella Nichols. I've got a bit more than half a point on her on the exchange. It does have to count for something.
Yeah, it does, and it's obviously going to be a backup. She's only got the one wave, that was her second, but she paddled for that first wave and missed it. She was too far out. Bella was even further out than what Gabrielle O'Brien was, and I've got to just think that first wave probably had all the ingredients of a healthy backup. She missed that one, and then she was sort of in position for that second one. And I mean, obviously she's going to put that pressure on, and here we go. You can see Isabella paddling for that one. She's so far, and then Gabby just missing this wave here. And this was the second one. She was sort of more in position because she'd paddled for the first one here, and she was still a little bit deep, gets around the section. A little bit more of a vertical approach here, and she knows that she needs to make this last turn. She sticks it right in front of those rocks right there.
She got just looking back on it, she got an okay number too, 4.67. Like, you know, it's a good recovery number for her, and now Isabella Nichols needs a 5.35. It's definitely a mistake missing that first wave. And Isabella, you know, she's leaning into some great local experience.
Oh, yeah.
Stomper, Mike McAuliffe there. He's would have no doubt given us some great advice on which waves are going to eventuate into opportunity down the line here at Main Break.
Oh, he's one of the best surfers, in my opinion, out here on his day, and obviously a great West Australian surfer who's had lots of success competing in the past, and now does a lot of coaching as well, and is such a great person for Isabella to have in her corner. I mean, he knows this reef so well, and you know, when it's pumping, he picks the eyes out of it. He is actually amazing at finding some of the most wally barreling lefts that I've actually ever seen at Main Break. Yes, the left does barrel. You've just got to be in the right position, which is you actually got to take off sort of behind the peak, coming from the right, really deep on the reef, and you can thread a few barrels. There's a few people that do it really well out here, a few locals that get around doing it really well, but looks like there's lines on the horizon.
It does. We might have time quickly to have a look at the opening exchange and just break it down. Let's have a look. Gabrielle O'Brien, her wave maybe slightly smaller, but the first carve, brilliant from Gabrielle O'Brien.
Yeah, look, I mean, you just look at the contrast of how much spray got thrown, and I think this was just a great example of their two contrasting styles. Bella obviously did what we said she would, and that's just go straight up into the lip. Very critical in her approach, but Gabby just, her wave was actually a bit cleaner, allowed 3 turns, and she was just able to displace so much water. But yeah, that just textbook of what we were talking about. So thank you, ladies. Actually giving us some credibility.
It's interesting that the on the exchange, those sets kind of came through as individual swell lines. There wasn't really multiple set waves in it. So it's interesting. Kind of, to me, it seems that it's going to work in Isabella's favour here. She's going to get the opportunity to potentially really drop another big number, because Gabrielle O'Brien kind of made that error missing a wave and really just was only able to put up a mid-range score.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there. Even though Gabby is sitting out there with the 8-point ride, I do agree with you. I feel like right now power is with Isabella Nichols. And it looks like there's a couple, hopefully these sets do stand up enough on the reef. But back to what Stomper or Mike McAuliffe was saying, is that this is a dying swell, and we are going to see that energy sort of dissipate a bit, and there is going to be these long lulls right now. So I'm just yes, I feel like the power is with Isabella right now, but it's whether or not the ocean's going to cooperate.
Isabella really got the benefit of a high impact finishing closeout section, whereas Gabrielle O'Brien was able to turn a tapering wall into a good score with her unbelievable rail turns. Isabella's chances might be improved with those bigger closeouts on the inside, as opposed to that longer running tapering wall.
Yeah.
So she might not need as much room to move here to get another good score. 6.5 minutes to go. Isabella looking to the beach. Held that priority, been very selective so far. But Kuiper, a lot of time in the water for these two young competitors.
Yeah, a lot of time and staying on mark, right? So, I mean, Run DMC probably said it best. It's tricky. It's tricky out here because when you have these lulls, to stay in position for when a wave does come, I mean, it is, and Flick, you've been talking about it. It's a difficult lineup. Sometimes they break outside, sometimes they break inside. You got to be on the spot, and you don't have a lot of chances right now with this swell.
No, it's intense out there at the moment. One thing for sure, Kaipo, is I think about the final that these two surfed back in 2022 and where they've gone to with their surfing the last couple of years. For me, Gabrielle O'Brien is a much better surfer than she was back in 2022. She just looks so strong. Your thoughts on that?
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Gabriella has harnessed her power game and also worked on the technique. Again, her weapon, the move of choice is that big forehand gaff, and she's refined that. She's put more body English and technique into it. So I agree with your statement there. Gabrielle O'Brien has evolved since last we saw her in a final out here at Margaret's.
Well, let's see if she can put that improved performance, that enhanced performance to good use in this critical heat to save her place on the championship tour. Thanks for your insights there, Kuiper. I agree, it's tricky. And yeah, at the moment, these two surfers are doing a great job of converting the limited opportunities into some very healthy numbers.
Yeah, they definitely are. I just think back to the beginning of this, the original heat before we had the restart, and just you can clearly see, I mean, desperation's a pretty heavy word, but it's there, from both of these women. And there were a few opportunities. We heard Stomper talk about it as well, that went through unridden. There was that first wave in the beginning of the heat, big beautiful right-hander. They were too far in for one, and I just kind of think back to that. Like, it's just hard to. It's tricky.
Yeah, well, they're actually, these surfers could both have up to 3 or 4 waves.
Yeah, it's true.
So, these last 4 minutes are critical. I think we've all got our fingers crossed, our toes crossed for some more opportunity for these two competitors looking to save their place on this championship tour. But ultimately, at the moment, as time winds down, pressure builds on Isabella. Doesn't need a huge score at all to get herself in front here, just a 5.35. But Gabrielle O'Brien's decision after getting that smaller wave and just getting a tap in that kind of looked very pedestrian, to finish that wave off is now a masterstroke.
It is. And even just, you know, we obviously saw her miss that first wave of the set, but then just to be like, okay, well, I've only got one more opportunity, this one here, and you see that she was stroking so hard to get into that wave too. I mean, looking back, I was like, oh, okay, like, for me, I was like, this isn't the most amazing wave, but right now, exactly what you said, Ron, it was brilliance, because right now, as this clock's ticking down, and I mean, there's maybe a couple of little lines, but I'm thinking that these are going to head pretty close in on the reef, which means that they're probably going to run off, or maybe these women are going to be a little bit too far out.
When you see the swirl lines rolling in, some are just undeniable. You know, not even a howling offshore is going to lay those waves down, but the smaller lines,
yeah,
you know, they just don't have enough energy in them to cap with that offshore wind blowing.
No, definitely not. And we've already talked about it, but the swell is definitely dropping, and it's dropping throughout today. It's getting smaller tomorrow and the next day. And I mean, you can even see it now. Like, you look at these lines that are coming into the bay, and they're a bit crisscrossed. They're not, they just don't have as much energy.
Oh, it's getting to that point now where we're getting down toward that GWM 2-minute warning, and you can just sense the tension, not just for the competitors, but for the coaches. Richard Dogmarsh and his crew, they're on hand. They're watching Gabrielle O'Brien here, who's holding on to just a very slim lead at this stage of the game. Isabella Nichols, you know, she's been very composed so far in this heat. To be faced with the task of matching an excellent score on the opening exchange and actually having the minerals to deliver a 7.33, so impressive. But she needs a line of water to roll her way here. She needs an opportunity.
Oh man, wow, this is just nail-biting stuff right now, because I mean, for both of these women, they're nervous, right? I mean, Gabby right now is sitting out there just, what do you do? I mean, some of these sets have been coming through as just a single wave, and she might not even get an opportunity. You know, it might not be a two-wave set. And Gabby just has, you know, she's going to have to let Isabella go. She's got the priority, and there's not much more you can do. That's all she wrote if there's only one set. And I mean, but for Isabella, on the other hand, I mean, she's just praying like, oh, just for me right now, it's nail biting, absolutely nail biting. And I feel for both of these women, because they're just such strong surfers, and for one not to be making the cut in the next 58 seconds is devastating.
You've got to go back to it, though. It was the positioning at the opening stages of this heat that robbed them of opportunities, not so much that the back half of this heat's been pretty quiet. I do think that this 5.35, you know, it's not going to take a whole lot to achieve that number. Gabrielle O'Brien's 4.67, it was average.
Yeah, agreed. And you know what? I think 5.35 could also be done in one turn. I mean, if you think you've got that one big moment, I mean, we've seen it already done this year a lot. We saw it at Sunset. We saw Molly get a massive score for just one turn. It's definitely doable. We've seen John do it as well. So here we go.
Here we go. Something standing up on the outside. Is it going to reach Isabella Nichols in time? Is it even going to cap and stand up here on the reef at main break? It's not. And there is only 5 seconds to go. And they're counting it down. And Gabrielle O'Brien is going to hang on for the victory here. Richard Dogmarsh, he can't believe it. Just a huge sigh of relief for him, the coach.
Wow.
You got to feel for Isabella, only the one wave. They did get a fresh clock, though. There was opportunities, and ultimately the hustle for the inside position ended up working in Gabrielle O'Brien's favour. Yeah,
it's so true. It all came down to that original hustle, but wasn't like there wasn't opportunities. That first bit of that, before we got the restart, there was so many waves that kind of came through unridden. And I mean, I really feel for Isabella right now, just only having the one opportunity. It really is heartbreaking, and she's such a good surfer. She's going to have to go back and sort of reframe and get back on that Challenger Series and recompose herself.
Yeah, difficult moment for Isabella. Elation for Gabrielle O'Brien. Surviving and staying alive in this draw, moving up into the top 10 now. As we take a quick break here, when we return, Joe Tapel and Richie Lovett will step in for the call. Margaret River is just a special zone. It has a different kind of energy. You feel it as soon as you enter the place. The town's buzzing. The surf, I think, is probably the big draw card.
Margaret River, it's one of the most amazing places in the world, and it's just the most extraordinary place to come.
The southwest of WA, we're living on a dream here. All the vineyards, the surf, the coastal, it's like no other place in the world.
We're still dreaming here in WA. Molly Picklum, Alyssa Spencer hit the lineup here in the round of 16 after a couple of big heats to set up the quarterfinals, but also dealing with the midseason cut. That theme continues in this matchup. Alyssa Spencer, the rookie on tour, finds herself in a must-win situation against world number 3, Molly Picklum. Hi, everybody. Joe Turpel, Richie Lovett, CT standout, great analyst, breaking down the energy of stop number 5 of the season. We're going to find that pressure on the goofy foot, Alyssa Spencer, in this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough heat up against Molly Picklum, who has just come on in leaps and bounds over the last 12 months. You know, she's been right at the top of the ratings and has become a real world title threat in only just a couple of years. You know, that's how good she is, and that's how steep her sort of improvement curve is. And this is going to be an interesting matchup. We saw our women in that previous heat playing a little bit of silly buggers at the start there. And there was a few waves that went unridden. So hopefully we get a bunch of action in this one.
And you feel for them. You know how much pressure was on both of those athletes in the last heat. They were aware of the situation on the line, feeling for the Bella Nichols camp at the moment, and Gabby Bryan making it through for a shot to continue on for the rest of the season. Crazy how they had a restart, out of position, waves were going through, and Bella now just getting out of the water. Went through this last season.
First and second, and such are the vagaries of seeding and the draw. I think they are meeting again in the third heat of the round of 16.
That's just my waves. That was the worst heat ever.
You can see Bella just wanting more sets, wanting more opportunity there. It came to a serious hassle in the beginning. Gabby Bryan got the first wave into the 8s. Bella was surfing well, 7-3-3 on her opener. And that was the only wave she caught in the entire matchup. As we wish her the best on the Challenger Series. Molly Picklum, Alyssa Spencer getting started. We'll see if they can get things going a little bit more quickly for us here today.
Yeah, hopefully a few more waves here for our women in this heat. And as you said, Joe, Alyssa Spencer, she's got some work to do. Really hasn't fully clicked into gear on the tour this year. You know, just the transition off the Challenger Series onto the World Championship Tour. It is a step. It's a step up in terms of performance. The turns need to be bigger. The speed needs to be faster on the wave. Everything is intensified when you get on this tour. You don't really think it's going to be a big jump, but it is. And really, there's an added layer of pressure as well. It does take a little bit of time to find your feet and really get comfortable in this situation. And I'd love to see Alyssa really just take it to Molly in this one. I'm excited for a tight matchup. I'd love to see her really put it in there as we see some of the Dolphins coming through the lineup.
Love surfing with dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
They're really good at riding waves. It's an animal that has fun. How cool is that? They actually like to express themselves with joy, and they join you in the water all the time, especially in venues like this in West Oz. There's those stories of the relationship that surfers have with the ocean. Remember that year at J Bay where Kelly needed a score against Andy, and all of a sudden a pod of dolphins joined him in the lineup, and Kelly's like, well, I better follow these guys. Followed him up the point, right into a set, got the score, took out the victory.
Yeah, it's a pretty special time when you're out in the lineup and you see a pod of dolphins and they come right up close. You actually jump under the water and you can hear them clicking, their little sonar messages they're sending to each other. Pretty special, and yeah, you often see them over here in the west, and just again, the beauty of this place can't be understated. It is just magnificent coastline, and see some of our Red Bull jet ski
even for the crew like Perry Hatchett on the Red Bull ski, he's seen this 1,000 times in his life. It never gets old. Feeling the energy and the magic of the Indian Ocean. And there is this talk about this relationship that you have as a lifetime surfer, Rich. You've felt that your whole life competitively, but also in that free surfing spirit, where sometimes you feel guided, like you're in the right place at the right time. It also comes with your ability to master a lineup and understand the ocean, and maybe not just master it. Maybe that's sometimes too heavy of a word, where you're actually bonding together, working in unison.
I think it's about tuning in to the ocean, and you find a rhythm with it. And interesting, when we were chatting to Kelly yesterday, and he touched on something, and he actually got quite emotional when he was talking about you know, the surfing fraternity as being this global family. And then I started thinking, well, the one thing that connects us all is obviously the ocean. And you know, Kelly's obviously had an incredible relationship with the ocean, almost an innate sense to make things happen. And I've seen, you know, waves pop up in the final 30 seconds for him, and he just has that special relationship. But if you can get in tune with it, you know, you seem to have a better career, because the waves do tend to come to you. But that only comes by spending time in it, and a lot of time in it.
26-22 on the clock, still scoreless as Gabby Bryan walks up the steps.
Oh my
Good paddle.
What?
That was a good paddle, that one.
How much ground did I cover?
About 2 foot, not enough. 2 foot short. Geez, that was a beautiful wave too. Well done, you're surfing great. Good surfing, just that positioning, hey.
I freaking had a feeling too. I saw her paddling out and I was like, I don't need to go as far out.
Nah, she paddled out, you got sucked in, and you actually went with her and then turned and came back. You should have just held your ground. You're in a perfect spot. Absolute perfect spot. Fuck, the ape was nice though.
Like, how was that first one? That was the turn we were talking about, huh?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's that Gabby turn. Wow, it's gotten even more intense. The last couple of years, so powerful. Definitely one of the most powerful on tour. It's like a power gouge, but she can draw it out longer into a real complete full wrap if she needs to, or she could burn her speed with it going completely down to the bottom of the wave. It's her money turn. She's going to win a lot of heats with that one moving forward.
It's such a powerful turn there, and she's really developed it and showed different variations of it.
Really enjoy that powerful act at main break, whether it's big or small. You can really throw down some power hooks. Richie, break this one down.
Oh, I just love how hard she leans into it. All the front foot pressure now, transitions it onto that back foot, drives through it. Look at that inside rail, the heel side rail, holds it all the way through. The surfboard wraps all the way around back into the power source. It's a really committed power carve. And just that output of energy that she can produce down into the surfboard and just produce that big fan of spray, you know, it really does add to that intensity of that maneuver.
There's always this talk of progression and things changing, and then when air started coming into the conversation as being functional maneuvers towards, you know, the 90s especially, everyone kept always like going back on, hang on, you know, power's never going to go out of style. And that's always going to be a statement that's so true. That pure power surfing is the nuts and bolts of the tour, and still what's winning heats more often than anything above the lip.
Totally agree with you. It is the framework to which every surfer needs to develop all their skills. If you don't have that power, then you're really not going to be successful as a professional surfer, that's for sure. And I think the best surfers, even outside of professional surfing, are the ones who can have that power and flow, the commitment, and have that connection with the wave and be doing the maneuvers in the right place where the wave allows you. That's when you're in the flow state.
Molly Picklum showed us her power at main break Margaret River as a rookie. Even though she fell off tour that season, she got into the nines for the first time when she eliminated Tyler Wright. Everything's changed for Picklum since then, now winning 2 events in her career, kicked off the season, runner-up at Pipeline. Was the highest scoring athlete at Pipe, with the runner-up finish to Katie Simmers, then won Sunset in back-to-back seasons. Since then, she's been getting stuck in this round, in the round of 16, coming off 2 consecutive ninths, lost the yellow jersey down to 3rd. But the big story is also for Alyssa Spencer in a must-win situation. Lost to Molly at Pipe in this round, and is trying to get her back here when it means the most for her career. A lot on the line, Kaipo, as we say a big good morning once again.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Yeah, a lot on the line. Just checking the Apple Watch. We're about 2 minutes, 24 seconds from a restart. I got all the information that, you know, the surfers are getting out here. Been, you know, slow morning. Setting the last heats, tricky out here, positioning. But this is just another tool that the surfers have out here is the Apple Watch. And once we start the priority rotation, another interesting tool is that this Apple Watch will actually vibrate when you have priority, let you know that you have priority. But we're still waiting for the priority kickoff. We're down to under 2 minutes, 21 minutes and 50 seconds. So a little under 2 minutes before may see a restart.
Kaipo, you got the best view in the house. You know, last heat we saw them scrapping all over the place with waves kind of sneaking underneath them. What are you seeing now in this matchup? Any potential on a different place to sit?
You know, you could. Nobody wants to break, right? I mean, you could come in, and there has been a couple of inside waves that would offer you a turn before you hit the bricks. But the competitors, they're savvy competitors. Nobody wants to break and take that because, you know, it's not going to be it's going to be an inconsequential score. So I see the logic on just staying out here, holding ground, waiting for a set to break further out.
Thank you, Kaipo. Enjoy the insight from his vantage point right there on the back of the sled. He's been hanging out with guys like Ant-Man, Jake the Snake Patterson's brother. Ant-Man, famous for charging gigantic surf, understands the ocean incredibly well, especially here at Main Break Margaret River. Sam Smith on the water cam as well, getting you the shots of the surfers coming towards you down the line. It feels like you're actually in the water with them. And that's the coolest thing in the world when you, yeah, Sam, great job, my friend. But when you see a pro surfer on your hometown, on your local break, that's when you realize why they're pros and how good they are. You know, you can watch all the surf movies in the world and get inspiration. I mean, that's my favorite thing to do. But when you see them in person in the water, surfing the same waves you are, you're going, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was possible.
Totally. And I think one of the biggest things, Joe, when you watch these surfers, or if you're lucky enough to be out there in a free surf or a warm-up session, is just how fast they go. Their speed is just incredible compared to, you know, the regular competitor. And as you see here, you can hear the siren going off here at Hooter is just letting us know that we are having a restart. So the head judge deeming that there wasn't any contestable waves that the surfers missed. So they have opted for the restart. 35 minutes back on the clock.
Head judge Lily Pereira, an incredible surfer from Brazil. A lot of great names on the panel as well. Ran into Ben Dunn the other day on one of his breaks, a championship tour surfer upstairs on the panel. Saw Drew Courtney the other day. Drew Courtney, a great CT standout. Loves to fish, loves to surf, loves to score the world's best, as he was one of the world's best on tour just a few years back. So a fresh clock, we'll see if their strategy changes. As we heard Richard Dog Marsh talk to Gabriella Bryant, and it was cool when you hear him break down the paddle and positioning first, even before she caught that 8-point ride, Rick.
Yeah, it does. Tactics definitely do play a part in this today. Patience is going to be key because, as Kaipo was saying, you could scramble in on that inside break, get one turn, maybe put a 3 or a 4 on the board. But when that big set comes through, that is going to offer up, you know, up to 7 and 8 points. Then if you're not on the right side of it, then you're in big trouble here. So it's a patience game. Cat and mouse in the first minutes of the heat and just trying to establish the priority order. And as we can see here, so our surfer in blue, Alyssa Spencer, she is on the inside and has position for the right-handers. But Molly just sitting a little bit under her, and we'll see whether a set comes, whether she'll quickly dart on the other side of her and perhaps take that inside position. Always got to be well aware of where your competitor is sitting.
So after the restart, still scoreless, waiting for the opener for Picklum and Spencer. Alyssa in a must-win situation to continue on after Margaret River. Let's now hear from Gabriella Bryant with Stace.
Gabriella, try to give us some insight into how your mind is operating that heat. That was a wild ride for us on the stairs.
Yeah, I bet. I'm kind of just all in. It's all or nothing right now. I know where I am and know that my career is on the line pretty much. And so, I mean, the beginning of that heat was pretty gnarly because Isabella is such a fierce competitor. And yeah, I just was going into it. I'm like, I'm not giving anyone an inch. And it ended up working out. I did make a few mistakes. I paddled for a really good one and I missed it. Got sucked out too far. But it's just hard for me too because, like, I guess I'm really confident in my surfing, so I just want to get the waves. And the beginning of the year, I kind of like wasn't doing the game part of it so much. So that was something that I was working on, and I'm really happy that it worked out.
Absolutely. You mentioned Isabella is a fierce competitor, but it does take two to tango, and that paid off.
Yeah, for sure. We were so far out of position in the beginning. We were like over by the buoy, but I guess I saw it in the first heat, and there was a really good wave, and as long as your competitor's not on it, it doesn't matter if you're not on it because you guys both aren't getting the score. So we were in it together, and yeah, it was a tough heat.
It certainly was. And then the quick regroup to get the 4.67 after you miss that wave. I mean, if you make a mistake, make it quick, right?
Yeah, for sure. I was like, that wave, I saw it, and I was like, I'm in a good position. Then she started to paddle out, and we got caught inside a few times, so I was just like, I'll position out a little further, and the offshore wind just blew me straight out the back. Got to work on my arms, I guess. But yeah, then that next one slid on there. I'm like, if I could just get a 4 and back it up, those are kind of hard to come by right now. So glad it worked out.
It certainly did. Well done. We'll let you get rested up. Thanks, Gabriella.
Thank you.
Good man, Stace. Well done. Gabriella Bryan doing her type of surfing on that 8-point ride. Absolutely loving it. Her composure is incredible. She's been through this cut scenario. She's had to make the final in the past. That's why that heat was so nuts seeing the matchup, because Bella and Gabby were in a final in the past when they both were able to get past the cut and surf the complete season. Now Bella in 2 consecutive years falling off here in Margaret River, and she'll be back on the Challengers Series. And that was just one of those heats where whoever lost would be relegated to the Challenger Series. And also with the live rankings, now that officially sends Luana Silva as well to the Challenger Series. Something on the line in every heat. Alyssa Spencer in the hot seat now, must-win situation. Even coming up next, you know, for Lakey Peterson, if she wins the heat, she officially makes the cut. Heat 5, Sophie McCulloch. If she goes down to Katie Simmers, then Sophie will be back on the Challenger Series. Heat 6, Tatiana Weston-Webb. If she wins, she officially makes the cut. And then it'll be Sally Fitzgibbons. She can't lose to Caroline Marks. Sawyer Lindblad in the same position. She can't lose to Betty Lou Sakura Johnson. That's every single heat in the round of 16 with big things on the line.
It's stressful, isn't it? And I guess that stress is it's heightened by the fact that we have some inconsistent waves coming through. Conditions are a little bit slow, but it just means that you know, both our competitors, they have the same canvas to work with. They have the same heat situation that they need to adapt to, and that's what Gabriella was saying in that interview. You know, they were both sort of out of position for the start of that heat. No one was willing to give. It was like a staring competition. No one was going to break it. So, but I guess if your competitor's not on the waves, then you know it's still an even playing field. So, anyway, interesting to see how these heats will play out today.
Let's see how Richard Dog Marsh is feeling about this whole scenario. Dog is with Stace.
Thanks, Joe. Dog, we're usually lip reading you on the broadcast, so I thought I'd give you the opportunity to actually talk to us.
Thanks. Appreciate that. I'm probably. Yeah, I've got to mind my words. I know I'm terrible. Sorry.
No, it's amazing that a few of us have made it this far. But anyway, Dog, that was a crazy heat. So many back and forth moments. Those two competitors have had a lot of history. How do you profile that starting that matchup?
Oh, look, it was really hard to come up with a plan, but I mean, you just go back to what you know, all in. You just have to be ready to, like Isabella did. I think they both had the same plan, and I think that was probably the only plan for that heat, to come on the inside and look for substandard waves. There's such a big difference between the sets and the small ones that, yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. At heats like that, you just have to all in and wait for the sets.
And as Gabriella mentioned in her interview, Isabella's fierce, but Gabriella also bringing a pretty high level of intensity to the start of that heat.
Yeah, I think they both realise what all in means. You know, it's getting in a competitor's face. It's, you know, and you want to be in their presence too, like physical presence. So even when there's not a wave, you want to sit close to them and let them know you're there. So any mistake, you pick up on that. So, yeah, it's pretty physical when it's like that.
And how were you feeling after that first exchange, Gabriella getting the nod by 0.67? That's a pretty big deal today.
Yeah, look, I thought it could have been a little more of a spread. I think her rail work is probably a little underscored, in my opinion. I think what she does is really unique in the women's side of the draw. And then flip that over to when she missed probably the best wave of the whole heat. So yeah, there was some happy moments and some really stressy moments.
Good to see you made it out the other side. Thanks for your time, mate, and best of luck for the rest of the event with everyone you're working with.
Thanks.
Good man, Stace. Love that chat with Richard Dog Marsh, one of our favorite personalities to hang out with. Still rips, by the way. Richard Marsh, a long career as a competitive surfer on the top stage, winning big events, finaling in prestigious moments like Bells, what we talk about, but he won a lot as well, representing Cronulla, and became a great coach for not just Gabby Bryan, a long relationship with Ryan Callanan, hanging with Connor O'Leary, great in the past with guys like Leo Fioravanti and so many more as he moved over to Europe and is really responsible for grooming a lot of super talents into great professional athletes that we see today.
Yeah, he's got so much knowledge, and I was lucky enough to go on a couple of my first surf trips with Dog Marsh, and you know, we were both sponsored by the same brand at the time, and we were in Indonesia, and he's like, come on Gromit, get on the back of the bike, and he would sort of take me off, and did my first J-Bay trip with Simon Law and Richard Dog Marsh, and they sort of showed me the ropes there, and you know, just such a lovely energy around him, and I think that's why he's so good as a coach as well. Super analytical, but has a really nice way of sort of delivering hard news, which is kind of sometimes as a competitor tough to hear. But yeah, he's obviously a real asset to these surfers he's working with.
I just can't get these images out of my head of these advertisements I would see in the Surf Max of you and Dog.
Yeah.
And, wow, I don't think you could pull that off today.
I remember. No, you couldn't. Yeah, the brand we're obviously talking about is Hot Tuna, and at the time, Richard Meldrum really was pushing the boundaries of what was acceptable and appropriate in the surfing world. And, you know, I remember being naked with a fish taped to my leg and a pair of trunks just waving around in front of me, and being chained to the other, you know, there was so many different concepts that we were sort of confronted with, but they were always fun and always enjoyable. And yeah, and again, Dog was like, hey mate, you wait till you come to one of these photo shoots, just be prepared. So.
Hey. And we're still talking about it
today.
We're
still talking about it today.
I mean, I'll never forget opening a mag and seeing those images. So cool looking back in surfing history with you guys, and seeing how much you still love the game, the top level of the sport. Molly Picklum, Alyssa Spencer, still scoreless after a restart. The other heat was out of position. I think this one has just been pretty quiet for waves.
Yeah, it's been really slow. Unfortunately, we are on the backside of this swell that's been hanging around for a few days now. We've really milked every ounce of energy out of it, and it's just fading away. But there'll be moments today where it will just pulse again, and it'll come in a rhythm, and this is just the nature of being on the backside of a swell. Looks like a couple of swell lines now. May get a start here.
Keeping an eye on this set, still pouring through, going underneath our competitors towards the bricks, holding their position out the back. Alyssa Spencer in a must-win situation to make the mid-season cut. Molly Picklum, number 3 in the world, trying to break her losing streak in this round in 2 previous events. Portugal, then to Bells Beach, losing the yellow jersey. I don't know if Molly Picklum could have dreamed of a better start to the season this year in 2024. Final at Pipeline, then the turn of the century at Sunset Beach.
That is a giant wave, triple overhead. I guess we'd call it 8 to 10 feet in Hawaiian terms. But gee, she was just outstanding. She started really connecting with Sunset. She's figured it out. It is a tricky wave to surf. Such a big playing field. So many different moods and changes when the conditions, change and the swell side sort of picks up. Got to negotiate this inside bowl section. Molly just really leaning into her power and rail game and the connection she has at Sunset Beach.
Looking at her season summary, 1 event win. That was at Sunset, going back-to-back with her titles there, and a 10-point ride as well, and that 10 was at Pipeline in the semifinal with Betty Lou Sakura Johnson. That's one of my favorite rivalries on tour. They got to meet up in the final at Stop 2 at Sunset Beach. We're going to be watching those two do battle for maybe a couple of decades. But Molly couldn't have been stronger. Got yellow after the Hawaiian leg and just trying to regain that winning formula here at stop number 5 of the season after 2 losses in the round of 16.
Yeah, started really strong, but just trying to break that run of 9s that she's had through Portugal and Bells Beach, and we know she's capable of it. Kind of weird to see her back in red and not in yellow. You know, it was starting to look really good on her, and I'm sure she wants to regain that top position.
Only 21 years of age. Alyssa Spencer, also 21. As Molly's got a bit more experience, but Alyssa's been ripping. She won a big event on the Challenger Series last year in Portugal, which helped her officially qualify for the rookie class this season. Came incredibly close in the past as well, so she's gone through the tough side of just not making it onto tour. But a very hard worker, making a lot of improvements. When you become a rookie on tour, you get to choose your number for your jersey, and that was the original number for the great Kobe Bryant for the Los Angeles Lakers. Always inspired by his work ethic. Watched a lot of his tape, a lot of his speeches. Really built a lot of her training programs off of what Kobe Bryant would speak about. Also likes that kind of infinity type symbol in that number 8. And her grandfather is Chinese, so it's a very special number for her culture. Raised in Encinitas, California, with a lot of fun waves to surf like Seaside Reef, where she is a standout. But all over Southern California, you've got some great options. Right now, though, you can tell by the look on her face, she's like, what do we do now? We've been sitting for so long. We've already had a restart. And we're almost hitting the 20-minute mark again, Rich.
Yeah, so almost half an hour. Our women have been sitting in the lineup without taking off on a wave here.
You can hear them counting them down again to get another horn sounding. And Molly Picklum, Alyssa Spencer just sitting in the same position. And they'll be counting down another start to round of 16, heat number 3.
Yeah, they need to hold their nerve here. This can be off-putting as a competitor. 2 restarts. You need to hold your nerve because all of a sudden the ocean can produce and you have to be ready to go. So sitting around for that half an hour, you know, the muscles start to tense up just in that seated position with that cold water around the kidney level. You know, your legs are sitting down there. Obviously the wetsuits are, you know, primo these days and do keep you nice and warm, but there's no movement. There's no body movement that's been happening. So, you know, these surfers tend to like riding waves all the time and keeping up movement. So it'll be a bit of a task to get up and going and really feel that sort of freedom and energy when they do decide to take off on a wave.
You can tell that they're all in, just like Dog Marsh was talking about in the previous heat with Bella and Gabriella Bryan. No use in breaking your outside position and going to the inside and getting a 2 or a 3, as Picklum just keeping her hands warm there. She keeps standing up on her board, looking at the horizons, trying to stay loose.
Yeah, smart. You can see there, she's just trying to stay limber here, going through sort of the action or the motion of doing a turn. Just trying to keep the body moving, keep the blood flowing.
And they're actually getting kind of chatty out there. Just 2 of them out to sea.
Well, I believe they're still in the right position in terms of where they are sitting in the lineup. It's just that there has been a lack of you know, sets with any decent size to break on that outside peak. In a free surf, we would have seen surfers coming in and getting those little inside waves and putting some little scores, numbers on the board. But
it's a funny thing when you could chat with your competitors, because over competitive history, when there's a chance at a restart, we've always heard of the things that, okay, we made a deal. Hey, don't go for a wave. Let's get a fresh clock and hopefully get some sets. And there's been some classic stories of guys breaking that deal and then starting the heat off by chasing an insider and trying to catch their competitors off guard. Not sure if Molly and Alyssa are having that conversation, but they haven't moved from that outside position. Richie, have you ever been involved in one of those talks?
No, I did a lot of scissor, paper, rock at the start of heats with buddies because we just didn't want to have to deal with any sort of bad energy or whatever. But, you know, it's a sliding doors moment. Like if you make that deal, but then that wave pops up and you're in perfect position for it, that could be like the moment where you take control of the heat. And so, yeah, I didn't try to make those deals too much. I just wanted to let it play out. But, I mean, you can see in this one, Molly Picklum is not overly concerned about having the inside track for the right-hander here. She's happy to relinquish that position. Alyssa's just going to, you know, hold her ground, but she'll have to make the choice when this wave does come. I'm sure Molly will put some pressure on her, keep her honest in terms of her decision.
Let's now talk to Sophie McCulloch with the Wax Head.
Sophie, you've been down here first car every single morning checking out the waves. I've noticed you and Liam O'Brien hanging up and down the stairs. You're down here at ground level watching Molly. You're here, you're connecting, you're checking out the ocean, waiting to see what's going to happen. How are you feeling for your heat coming up?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one this morning. Feeling pretty good. It's a long wait now with all the restarts, so definitely time for nerves to start to sort of ramp up a bit. But yeah, it's gotten to the point where it's kind of, yeah, just trying to laugh it off a little bit. There's not much opportunity out there, so it's pretty amusing. But yeah, we'll see if we can wrangle a couple of waves.
And you've been really present. You know, we said you've been up and down the stairs. Is that part of your usual preparation methods when you're traveling to feel the sand instead of staying in that Red Bull athlete zone, come down and connect with the ocean and see what's going on?
Yeah, I just think it's good to get a few different angles, and yeah, it's good to watch and support your mates. Indy was ripping this morning, so that was sick to see. And yeah, I guess just trying to embrace the whole event, whether it's in the Red Bull athlete zone or on the stairs.
And any board change? Obviously, it's in the conditions changed throughout the last few hours. I spoke earlier about what you might choose. Has that changed?
Yeah, I've gone down to a short board, so it's a 5.5 radius prime, Paizel surfboards. Yeah, it felt really good this morning, so just hope I can get a wave to actually ride it.
Well, we look forward to seeing you on Heat 5 with Katie Simmers. Let's hope some more waves come through shortly.
Good man, Waxhead. Sophie McCulloch, really cool for her to hang out before a big heat for her career against Katie Simmers in heat number 5, 2 heats from now. And Sophie in that must-win situation, starting off her season at Sunset Beach, getting the call up. Didn't have the best result there, so she's been trying to really recover some good surfing since that early loss at Sunset Beach. An absolute standout representing Australia. Still scoreless in the lineup now. Molly Picklum, Alyssa Spencer. Alyssa in the rookie class with Sawyer Lindblad, both goofy footers from Southern California. Sawyer coming up against Betty Lou in heat number 8 today in a similar situation where she's got to win. Stressful moments looking back at the bluff. I'm sure they'd like to have a chat with their coaches just for a reset of the game plan. Spencer working with guys like Shane Dorian to start the year, then to Chris Gallagher. Gally always a wealth of knowledge coming to Margaret River as a past champion and also goofy foot as well, just like Alyssa. Let's see if they start moving into position. Alyssa now kind of looking interested. Takes a look over that one, but it breaks much further inside and then kind of regains her spot a little bit deeper on the reef.
Yeah, and as you see there, Molly just took the inside position there. Right as Alyssa had a look, Molly just went zip straight around her. And now she'll hold position for the next right-hander. But that was almost like an opportunity there, Joe. I was mind surfing that little inside wave, and if they did come in, it was perhaps a 4. If they could do some good surfing on it. But yeah, I think they're still making the right decision by holding firm.
Plenty of time on the clock after a couple of restarts. Still scoreless with Molly and rookie Alyssa Spencer. Let's get a chance to get to know Alyssa a bit better.
They all work. My earliest memories of surfing are down at Carter Free. My dad would push me into these perfect little peeling lefts. My brother's name is Ty. We've definitely both got the competitive spark in us, so I feel like from a young age, whatever we were doing, I never wanted my little brother to beat me. He definitely pushed me to be a better person and also kind of shaped me into the surfer that I am today. If there's a barrel that I get, he always tells me I could have been deeper. See you. My dad is a fire captain at Encinitas Fire Department. I just see how much hard work he's put in to be where he is, and I feel like that definitely really inspired me from a young age to find my passion in whatever it is and work hard to fulfill your dreams in that role. I'm Alyssa Spencer, and I'm a rookie on the championship tour.
Alyssa Spencer has been really fun to get to know over the last couple of years. Really fun surfing family. Her brother, nice and competitive. I used to surf with her uncle quite a bit at Salt Creek. Tim, massive airs, like Babbles in Salt Creek. Yeah, really proud of his niece making the tour. But obviously they're probably biting their nails off knowing what's on the line here for her career. A must-win situation to have a shot at making the mid-season cut. Molly Picklum, number 3 in the world, safe from all of that, but she's focused on a world title this season, also representing Australia in the Olympic Games. Just getting some messages in from our commissioner's office, and this now will officially be the last heat of the day. Noting that the sets aren't there anymore and a ton on the line, they'll wait for better waves in the forecast and in our waiting period.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. With 2 restarts, the ocean just has gone to sleep. We're perhaps right at the final stages of this swell that has given us so much over the last few days. So this will be the last heat, but we have to get a result here, Joe. So we're committed on this one. And Molly Picklum and Alyssa Spencer, you know, it was a great little package there. Get a couple of insights into Alyssa Spencer and just my own observations of her. She seems really well considered and thought. You know, she's got a real thought process around what she does and how she goes about her business. It's very measured. She seems, you know, real neat and tidy in the way, you know, she presents herself, and that seems to really shine through in the way she approaches a wave too in her surfing. Very clean, compact style. And yeah, she's easy on the eye when she's performing on a wave, for sure.
Yeah, it's all about performance, how you're framing your turns. Style is interpreted in different ways, and for a while there, coaches were trying to model the champions that already accomplished a lot, and you kind of pick up versions of world champs in your local area going, oh, you're trying to surf like that person or that person. And I think kind of when John came on tour, it became this really cool transition and surf how you surf and bring out the best qualities in your type of surfing, and even competitively. You know, when you got a surfer that's really good at flow like a Steph Gilmore, you're not going to try to outflow Steph. You just bring what you can do and have a point of difference in your personality that might get you the nod that day.
100%. Yeah, you can't try and be someone else, that's for sure. And you can perhaps steal a little style element or try and emulate a maneuver, but everyone's unique. And I think for me, you know, style, I said it yesterday, it's a huge thing for me. I feel like, you know, those competitors and surfers that can do all of the amazing maneuvers and tricks but do it in a way that is just so aesthetically pleasing to the eye, you know, in my mind, they're the best surfers in the world.
We've got a wave popping up out the back. We're hearing some whistles from the bluff here at Surfers Point.
Had to turn up at some point, and here it is. The tide, Joe, that's another factor. We're working on incoming tide here, and that's another reason why we're sort of seeing these waves stop breaking on this outside peak, but I think we will get a start to this one.
After a couple of restarts, it is world number 3, Molly Picklum, getting around Alyssa Spencer for the opening wave. Driving off the lip. She will get the completion for the snap into the shallow end. A whip on the shoulder, and she rides away. So after a serious wade, Picklum will take the lead, grabbing the first wave. We saw Gabby Bryan effective in getting the first wave and going on to win. Hers was the 8. This one will be a little different, just a smaller opportunity. Picklum just doing well just to stay on her feet after such a long lull. Let's take another look here.
Yeah, so, well, Molly had the inside track here. She paddles with intent to get on this wave. Has to do a lot of work to get down the line here, get into clean open wave. Waits for this section patiently to Leah up in front of her, and she tags that first turn. Comes through and just gets a little soft cut back on the inside. But it was a strong turn. You can see here, watch this. She goes right around Alyssa Spencer here. Great tactical maneuver. Alyssa would have thought she was in the box seat. But some experience shown here from Molly Picklum. In danger of getting caught behind at this point. Now she starts to square up the turn, patiently waiting for that section to present itself. She took advantage of it. There was probably, you know, there was maybe 2 turns if she was a little further down the line, but she's up again.
On her way back out under priority, throwing down a forehand cutty. And hopping out of the inside, so this heat is on. After the silence of waiting out the back, Picklum gets position. But like you mentioned, Rich, her having that position put her ultra deep on that wave, had the downtime, earned the snap, and a little chip on the finish before the bricks. A 3.83 on her start. And now waiting for her second scoring ride, 21 minutes to go.
Yeah, still plenty of time for Alyssa Spencer here. As we watch the replay of Molly's backup wave, just a small little insider. It's not wrapping cut back. And she looks for something down the line here and just runs out of room as that wave breaks on the bricks there. So she'll head out the back and she'll try and sit right under Alyssa Spencer now and try and catch some of these little inside waves and just build a scoreline.
So you'd be feeling for Alyssa, maybe being left out of that first one, but when you look at 3s on the board, she'd got to be having some confidence knowing that she has priority and still at 20 minutes to go. I mean, I know we haven't seen a whole lot in the previous 40 minutes, but no crazy scores of consequence just yet. Here's the goofy foot rookie from Southern California. Nice carve, connects well off the lip. Open face track, looking solid, hits the lip again. Well done for Alyssa.
Yeah, that was a good 2-turn combination there for Alyssa Spencer.
And now Alyssa paddling back out after a long wait, Kaipo.
Yeah, it's come back alive, right? Now we got a little bit more consistency. Waves coming through here. Alyssa able to strike back. Looks like another wave just about to break here, so I'm feeling like it's on, you know, and let's see. It's going to be a 19-minute heat right now for the 2 competitors waiting for the number for Alyssa.
That's right. Not bad for a backhander, Kaipo, finding the lip connection a couple times on the inside.
You know, and that was the advantage of having that priority and taking off where you wanted to take off rather than battling in the open priority. We saw Molly on that opening wave where she was too deep because she wanted to get possession of that wave, but she missed that whole first section. Alyssa in the spot that she wanted to be and was able to bang away on the backhand. So we'll see what the number comes up at. Yeah, I can't wait. She needs a 6.93 for 1 wave to take the lead.
Good man, Kaipo. Richie, there's the form now.
Best wave of the heat so far. I loved how patient she was here, just waiting. Now she picks a moment. Carving top turn to start things off. She keeps it moving down the line, waits for this pockety section here. Now she gets a bit more vertical. Nice turning action off the top, great spray. This is that sort of measured, considered approach for her, but she just adds in this little layer of power and precision. Great style. And ejects out of that one, stays out of danger.
Solid approach there and composure for the rookie on tour. 5.83 on her opener. Not enough for the lead, but now just needs a 1.10. We've got a battle on our hands. We've mentioned Julia Christian a few times, representing that part of North County, San Diego. She qualified for the tour back in the day. Used to often run into a woman named Kyla Langen around the world. She's from that Carlsbad area, that Maple Street zone. Used to travel a lot and compete all over the world. Seems like we got more representation from all over Southern California these days. As we've got Alyssa now standing the bottom turn, attacking the first section. Didn't really connect off the lip, but doing well just to manage a couple moves before she runs out of water, and only needing a 1.10. We'll see her switching to the lead now.
Yeah, she got that. I was just about to ask you before she took off on that wave, Joe. Who do you want to be in this heat at this moment, Molly Picklum or Alyssa Spencer? And I think the answer is Alyssa Spencer with the highest scoring ride, even though Molly sort of forced the issue in terms of, you know, that priority tactics. Just talk through this backup score here, driving off the bottom here. Quick snap, sort of more like a check turn there. Open face down the line. Another small little snap. She'll get the one. She'll get enough to get in the lead here. This wave didn't really offer up too many opportunities for Alyssa to really get that backhand rhythm. That real figure eight motion that she starts to wind up on the backhand.
Alyssa Spencer, 2.23, gets the lead. Picklum now needs a 4.24. Waxhead now standing by with Britt Merrick.
All right, well, I'm on my tippy toes and Britt's crouching down. A size difference here from the big surfer himself, but you're the shaper for Alyssa Spencer. She's on a 5.3. How does someone like yourself scale down boards for someone of Alyssa's stature?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard, really. Small boards are pretty easy. Everything is a bit compact, and I actually find it easier to make small boards. So she's on a 5.3.5 2-point pro with a squash tail. You know, Margs, it's like, it can be a pretty flat wave. It can be cuppy at times. So I feel like the rocker on the 2-point pro allows for the cuppy sections, but then a squash that she chose this morning allows her when it's a little flatter and a little slower. So just trying to get that sweet spot between the rocker and the plan shape there. And it's pink, so it's sick. You know, pink board is always good.
So, and that isn't the same board that she's been riding at the other events. That is she's got a quiver of the pink boards, and her step up here is 5.5 in the round tail. And what was the reason for going for the shorter board today?
Just as you can tell watching the heat, the conditions are pretty slow. The waves are pretty small, so I think the smaller board is going to fit in the tighter sections. Like that last wave she got was real tight and real quick, and then the squash is going to provide lift because it's still pretty soft, especially coming into the high tide. So that's kind of the call on the 5.3.5 squash.
Great. So this is Team Spencer here. Picklum's up there. We're going to go back to the action.
Good man, Waxhead. Always great to see Britt Merrick. Thumbs up. Doing a great job. He made me laugh really hard this morning. I might actually lose my composure if I tell you this story, but I think I might go for it.
Okay, go for it, Joe.
Alyssa's out in front. Molly Picklum in second. So, if you guys remember, well, you know, yeah, great. We'll get back to this. Here's Molly.
Okay.
She just got this wave.
Yeah, so Molly on a better wave here. She gets more power and more acceleration on this wave, on that first turn. The wrapping cutback, so that will be her best wave for sure. You can see it standing up. Gets more angle on the board there. Keeps the rail wet all the way around as she brings it back to the foam part of the wave.
So well done for Molly Picklum, turning in the 4.6 on wave number 3. She had a couple of 3 rangers to start. Alyssa Spencer got the lead with a 2.23, but now she's back to second with priority, needing a 2.6. What a battle, still with 14 minutes to go. Remember, this is the last heat of the day, heat number 3. And Alyssa Spencer in a must-win situation. And only chasing a 2.6 for her. She's wanting to get, obviously, 8s or lates. She wants a set wave. Sometimes it can be actually more nerve-wracking when you know you only need a 2 and you get some serious wobbly legs when you don't even need much of a score.
Yeah, well, it's not time to pull the trigger, panic trigger on this one just yet, but looks like she's going to have a look at this one. Split peak, perhaps.
Here comes Alyssa Spencer. Important wave for her, important heat for her career. Snaps it a couple times. And now attacking the lip when she could over the shallow water. You can see almost those first couple turns felt like she was feeling like she was surfing for a 2, and then got to open up a bit more before she hit that slab. Molly did go left while Alyssa was riding the right-hander. So now 2 scores to come in. 12:50 on the clock. This is what Molly did.
Yeah, so let's have a look at Molly on the left. A big extended backhand turn to start things off, and another, so 2 turns in a row. Comes all the way through, gets the third little check turn, hits that oncoming section, and just gets exploded. But 3 good turns on the backhand to start things off. Alyssa Spencer coming around this section, off the top on the backhand. Little check turn off the lip, and a bit more of an aggressive turn to finish off. So, couple of softer turns, Joe, on the opening moments of this wave. You can see here that bottom turn, top turn combination wasn't as clean. The line was a bit interrupted as she went up into the lip there. This second turn, more of just sort of a check off the lip as it was breaking down, and then she eyes off this third one. This is the money moment of this wave. Gets almost vertical at about 10:30 on the clock. And then hits the eject button before that rock shelf exposes.
Wow, great execution in such a tight space. Alyssa Spencer finding to keep her spot on tour. Chasing a 2-6. Molly went on the left-hander down to 11:30 to go. 2 restarts in this matchup. And this will be the last heat of the day. We will give you an update on the numbers from that last exchange. At the moment, Molly's out front, but 2 important scores yet to lock in for the round of 16. Heat number 3. We'll be right back. Alyssa Spencer paddling into another right-hander at main break as she throws down a quick snap in the pocket, holds the rail, hits the lip line again, and is able to step off. So after a long wait, for finally getting to watch some pro surfing going down. Picklum, remember, went left before we went to break, turned in a 6.10, 4.6 before that. Alyssa Spencer locked in a 5.83 on her opener, then built to a 4.93 on wave number 3. And now about to lock in that last combination we just saw. So scores are building as we're starting to run out of time.
Yeah, it felt like this. Someone hit the pause button on the remote at the start of this heat, but then they've hit the fast forward as we've gotten into it, because it's been a flurry of activity here. Let's have a look at this. Alyssa Spencer with priority takes off on this last wave. Drives off the bottom, snaps off the top, brings it round into this closeout section. And just perfect timing. Just carving off the lip there. So another good wave. It looks like Molly dropped a decent score, Joe, on that left-hander. 6.10. So this is an important score that we're waiting on for Alyssa Spencer.
Last number for Alyssa, just locking in now. 5-2-7, back to the lead. Picklum to second again. And now Molly needing a 5 to get the lead back. What a battle, starting with patience. Molly out positioned, Alyssa to start. Turned in a 3.83. That's not even being considered now. She's built to a 4.6, then a 6.10. So Molly with the best single score of the heat. And Spencer at the best two-wave total at the moment, looking for a shot to compete in the quarterfinals and try to earn a spot inside the top 10 to make the cut. Cool to see how these surfers react under pressure, and even with the last heat losing Isabella Nichols from the tour, responding to a 7.33. You could tell she was feeling really confident. I'd say the same for Alyssa. She's got a thoughtful game plan. She doesn't appear rattled by this point of her career, which would be easy to do. We've seen that happen to rookies in the past on this cut line.
Absolutely. Full meltdown. It's possible, it can happen, but you know, she's obviously handling the pressure really well. You know, she's been asked the question, can you handle it? Are you ready for the big leagues? You know, these moments that you think about when you're falling asleep at night and you're going, okay, I need a score, I'm in this position of the heat, my career's on the line, but you know, these are all the things that you sort of manifest in your own mind as you're becoming a pro surfer. But she's right in the box seat at the moment. She has got Molly Picklum not on the ropes, but she's got her in a really good position, right where she wants her. 6.5 minutes to go. She's out in front. That's a big ask against Molly, who's been on just a scintillating roll the last couple of years.
Yeah, the rise of Molly Picklum. One of those stories of a rookie falling off tour, was devastated by getting sent to the Challenger Series. It's like she's been there, she's done that. Even got to that event in South Africa, in Ballito, where she basically couldn't surf. Everything had just been weighing on her, and so much competitive strategy. You know, she's obsessed with the game, so she actually needed a timeout. And her coach, Glenn Micro Hall, took her golfing, and that changed everything. But Micro said, yeah, there's a session, it was just, hey, just go land a floater real fast, and she would just fall. It was just, it became too much. They had to actually step away to find her form again. And her next heat, she smoked everybody, went on winning the event. What a turnaround. And that's that coaching surfer relationship that is really powerful. Seeing something in your athlete that maybe they even need to step away, try something else. You're overthinking everything, and look where they are today, competing for world titles.
Incredible. It's nothing like a game of golf to really take your attention off something else and to get your mind moving again. It is such a crazy game that you can really never ever master. It's a bit like surfing in that way. You will never ever be able to master the game. You're always adapting to different conditions. You know, it's an organic playing field, both the golf course and the ocean. So there are a lot of similarities there.
I've had some wig outs on the golf course lately. It can really test your mental game, and it's a cool comparison with surfers and, you know, their downtime, spending time on the golf course, staying calm in pressure situations. Just like golf, you've got always a chance to redeem yourself. Just like in surfing, there's another wave where you put yourself back in the heat. Alyssa Spencer has been doing that quite well. 5.83, 5.27 as she has the lead in a must-win situation.
Been a solid performance. She hasn't really put a foot wrong here. Up against Molly Picklum. This is Molly's best wave, that big trademark wrapping cutback. She's becoming famous for it. Just really sturdy on her feet, an aggressive approach, always wanting to push the envelope. But this left-hander, this is the best wave of the heat so far, really opened up. Watch this, she just connects and flows between these three turns here. And this last turn, if she made this, well, Joe, that would have gone right up into the 7 range. But Alyssa's been consistent. Just finding these nice running right-handers, putting that backhand precision surfing on display, very calculated approach.
What a battle. 325 to see what will happen with Alyssa Spencer. If she'll be back to the Challenger Series, if she goes down to Molly Picklum, or if she'll keep the dream alive into the quarterfinals. Doing well to battle with the current world number 3, who's had unbelievable form. The best start to a campaign for a world title, from a runner-up finish at Pipe to a win at Sunset. The highest scoring athlete at both venues. Talk about a roll. Grabbing yellow. Heading back into Australia, where she's trying to recover her form. Losing in this round in back-to-back events. Right now, Molly's just looking for a 5, as we're seeing a little bit of motion out there.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where she actually does need to put a couple of good turns together in order to get that 5-point right. It's not straightforward. It's either one big, substantial turn, or it's connecting 2 or multiple turns here. It looks like she is going to have the opportunity, but a bigger wave potentially out the back. This is interesting.
Fun looking wave for Molly. Recovers her rail there, and a beautiful sweep in the pocket, looking for a 5. Squares up off the top. Well done there for the Australian. And now lays down a carve over the step in the bricks and completes the turn. We catch up to the kick out of Alyssa Spencer. Minute 40 to go. Molly checks her equipment, starts heading back out, and Alyssa just with an up and out, so nothing accomplished out the back there, as she's down to 90 seconds.
Question, did she get the score? I believe she did. Let's check the replay here. So Molly drives around this first section, a great carving cutback to start off. She's showing commitment here, getting up into the lip on the second turn, brings it all the way for another smooth slice on the inside. To me, it is the 5. I think she's got it. That wave out the back. So this was Alyssa Spencer. Great looking wave here. Drives hard off the bottom, kind of a little slopey turn, and then it closes out. So it looked like she could be way deeper on the point on that one. If she came around that first section, there was points on that wave.
Numbers in for Molly Picklum, like you felt, Richie. A 7.33, a massive number for world number 3. And now a sizable lead out front. Alyssa's now chasing a 7.6 to try to make the midseason cut. If Alyssa can't find it, she'll be back to the Challenger Series. Wow, what a turning point of this matchup.
This has been it's been an interesting heat, to say the least. We had 2 restarts, very slow. Then we had a seesawing moment with the lead, chopping and changing. Alyssa's done, she's done sort of everything right when you look at it. Perhaps that last set, she just was a little out of position on the takeoff. That was perhaps an opportunity lost. But I just feel like it's been a slightly more aggressive style of surfing that Molly Picklum has delivered here, and I think that's where the edge has really given her the win.
What a matchup. What a performance for both of these athletes. Alyssa Spencer will be moving to the Challenger Series, and Molly Picklum moving to the quarterfinals with an opportunity to move up in the rankings. Katie Simmers is world number 1. She wants to get closer to her on the leaderboard. But check out the numbers. Wow, what a story. They spent some time in the lineup in main break. Alyssa played a smart game plan, and it came down to the best looking set coming in on Molly's last wave, and she went to town on it.
Yeah, she did, and that's testament to just where she is mentally and with her game, the confidence she has in the maneuvers. Just really laid it on the line. She could have surfed it conservatively and hoped for the number, but she didn't. She dug in, she got the job done, committed to the turns, and she got rewarded with a great score.
All shakas from Molly Picklum, with Perry Hatchett on the Red Bull ski as she'll prepare for a quarterfinal, breaking her losses in the round of 16 from the previous 2 events. Up next, it's the WSL Post Show with Ronnie Blakey, Felicity Palmatier, and Richie Lovett.
Thank you for staying with us for the WSL post show. A quick one today because obviously we only got through 3 heats. That swell was showing promising signs when we rocked up here this morning, but unfortunately just started to fade away. We had a few heat restarts and eventually the call was made to call it off after the 3rd heat of the day. Here on the panel, Ronnie Blakey with Richie Lovett, Felicity Parmentier. Rich, a tricky one. And you just don't want to see people out there fighting for their careers with limited opportunities.
No, not at this level, mate. Just not enough waves come through. We're basically on the back end of that swell that has delivered so much over the last couple of days, but it came pretty apparent in that final heat that it was time to call it off and let's go do something else.
It sure did. But the matchups in this round of 16, Felicity, mouth-watering, unbelievable. Obviously, competitors at the top end of the rankings at the moment, and they're up against those who are fighting for their place on this tour.
Yeah, we did see some really big heats get underway this morning. 3 of them, but, India Robinson comes to mind as, she had her back up against the wall and a lot of pressure on her this morning made it happen. But I think we definitely made the right call to call it off. With those few heat restarts, things were getting tricky. The tide was filling in. There's more water on the reef with that dissipating swell. So right decision to call the contest off.
Let's get into that first heat because it is our Boost Mobile heat of the day. India Robinson up against Joanne Defay, the current world number 2. First event this season now that Joanne hasn't made the final series, Rich.
Yeah, I'm sure, India was pretty, stressed out going into this heat because Joanne is in such scintillating form. Just have a look. I mean, she's surfing so well, crazy reliable on her forehand, just great turns. But India Robinson, she found a couple of gems, and didn't she just lean into her power game? Just amazing control on the rail, just displacing so much water, fans of spray, heading skyward, and it was pretty unanimous.
Just held her nerve. That's what she said in a post-heat interview. Felicity, it was all about holding the nerve, and she did it so well. I thought she looked brilliant too. A lot more rounded in her surfing in this heat.
Yeah, definitely a different approach to Joanne. Joanne obviously going more to the lip, and India really relying on that power. But I mean, she waited a long time for that first wave, and I mean, Joanne getting the first one as well out of that exchange. I was a bit worried for India, but she pulled through and had a lot of pressure, and she lives to fight another day.
Yeah, have a look at the numbers, impressive. And yeah, early on in the event, putting good combos together, but a bit more committed through her turn. So it feels like she's warming to this challenge of fighting for her place on the championship tour. And she's already on the climb and avoiding those early round losses. She's going to give herself a good fighting chance here. But here's some movement that we've seen on the Epic rankings today. And you can see there that India Robinson starting to climb. She was in 16th position, up into 14th now. We have sadly seen some surfers relegated to the Challenger Series, Rich.
Yeah, unfortunately, we saw Luana Silva get bumped out because Gabrielle O'Brien had a crazy heat, and she moved up into inside the 10. Obviously, Sawyer Lindblad, India Robinson, and Sally Fitzgibbon still have the ability to march through. Outside chance for Sophie McCulloch, but geez, it's interesting, isn't it? There's not many tickets to give out on this train left. They're all fighting for it.
Yeah, Alyssa Spencer just falling out of the mix in that last heat, and she fell to one of the top 5 surfers in the world at the moment, who's with Stace.
Thanks, Ron. Molly, bit of mental gymnastics in that one.
Yeah, a lot actually. I had a lot of time to think, so 60 minutes to have a good think. No, obviously it was so slow at the start there, and towards when we actually started catching waves, it was a bit comical, to be fair.
You made the decision to move the inside and basically get the job done. You made the amazing call at the end there to go the first wave of that set, bigger one behind, capping outside.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I guess at the start of that heat too, we obviously moved to the inside and tried to capitalise on those first few waves. And yeah, it's a hard one because you want to block, but then at the same time, it's quite slow, so you need to score as well. And yeah, at the end there, I was not trusting the ocean. I mean, we sat for 45 minutes, so I thought maybe there was just one wave in this set. So, and two, you got to read what's in front of you. It was a good wave, so I knew I could get some sort of a score.
Taking some confidence out of riding that wave?
Yeah, definitely. I obviously, I feel like I normally surf my way into heats, and then towards the end, it's always nice when you can keep composed and then turn the heat at the end. It's, I don't know, it's probably my weakness, but I'm happy to have one good stride in that little bank over there.
Absolutely. You're only as good as your last heat, and that was great. Well done, Molly Picklum. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Stace. Yeah, Molly Picklum, important event for her. Big opportunity to make some ground back on Joanne Defay and Caitlin Simmers, sort of setting the pace for those surfers in that final five picture at the moment and progressing through to the quarters now.
She was in such rare form at the start of the year, getting the second and then the win at Sunset and then dropped off, had that string of nights. So I feel like she's starting to pull it back. And that last heat there, she just showed so much sort of maturity in the way she competed and approached those sort of nervous moments, really, where she had to produce a score on that final wave. So look out. She's still coming.
Yeah, having a look at the forecast just before the post-show kicked off, Felicity, you were scratching your head as a local, guessing what was going to happen over the next couple of days.
There's a few question marks there for me and a few questionable words that came out of my mouth.
But we're going to have a look at the Surfline forecast a little later on. But rising tides are always such a big part of the Championship Tour event schedule, and Margaret River's been no different.
So this is Luna. Luna just caught one of the biggest waves of the day. How old are you, Luna?
I'm 10 years old.
10 years old and absolutely charging. Hi girls, welcome. This is probably the second Rising Tides for a lot of you. I'm the owner of Queen and Me. This business I started for the next generation like yourselves, and it's to inspire, empower and educate you along your journey to achieve everything you can. There's going to be some of your favourite surfers out there, and I want to encourage you guys to chat with them, ask them questions.
What's your name? Amali. Nice to meet you, Amali. I'm Tyler.
The cards you see behind you, they're called values cards. Your goal is your end goal, right? Some of you might have goals to do with surfing, another sport. Values are the steps you take to get to that end goal.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you get the best wave of your life?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you almost get a barrel? Almost, yep.
It's definitely been a dream of mine to get onto the tour. I think it would just be super cool going around surfing all these waves.
Gotta love it. Gotta love the buzz that Rising Tides gives every local community, and it kind of runs through. You see the kids that get to experience the lineup with the world's best surfers, but their parents carry that same kind of energy. It's super inspiring.
I just think back to when I was a grommet and I had interactions with the sort of local heroes at my beach, Barton Lynch and Rob Bain, and those moments made me want to become a pro surfer, and this is just such crazy experiences for these youngsters, and I'm sure a lot of these will come on to be pro surfers as well.
Don't you find too, Felicity, when a competitor throws themselves into the Rising Tides movement and starts to get a little bit of that energy back from the local community, it spurs them on to great results. And India Robinson kind of led that Rising Tides activation, and here she is, keeping her dream alive.
Yeah, I think a lot of the women on tour would relate to what I'm about to say, is that when, you know, they were growing up, there wasn't as many women as what there is in the water, or young girls, and it's inspiring for me to watch that Rising Tides piece and just see how many young, stoked girls there are these days to get out there and surf main break, which is a really intimidating wave, and get to surf that with their idols, because, you know, you go turn back the clock another 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that just wasn't the case. So it's a really cool initiative, and I love to see it at every event.
Most definitely. Let's talk about that Surfline forecast now, Rich. We've been looking at it very closely. We've got ourselves into a pretty good position by just breaking the back of this event, getting through those earlier rounds. Yep. But today, you know, it's a real shame that we couldn't keep rolling through heats, because it's going to make things tricky moving forward.
It is. The next couple of days are definitely going to be tricky for the Commissioner's office and everyone down here involved, officials, to decide what we're going to do. Flick, you may have to help me out here. So obviously, we've seen this swell deteriorate over the next couple of days. The next few days, there's sort of little peaks and troughs in the swell. The swell period goes up and down a little bit. There's some wind involved as well, coming from a different direction than we've had over the last sort of 4 or 5 days. You can see here, Thursday through Saturday, there is waves on the horizon. Saturday, Sunday, or Sunday in particular, looks magic. Big surf coming. But up until then, it's a big old question mark around it.
It's a pickle, and I'm glad I'm not the one who's making these calls. But it honestly is. We're going to see that period pick up a little bit. The swell height drops off. We're going to see some ugly northerlies come into effect a little bit, which isn't the best out here. I think we're probably going to be coming down for a few early morning calls just to see what might the ocean might bring. But yeah, the weekend's looking promising. But I'd say right now it's it's a bit hard.
Reeks of winery tour to me.
I will say that this venue has a habit of surprising you on those days where you don't think there's much happening. It's such a swell magnet. I think we had more energy in the lineup than we anticipated yesterday. Even this morning, it was still hanging around a little bit. So, we'll be making the call each day and we'll see what happens. But you can trust that we're going to get the competitors out there in the best conditions we have for the remainder of the window. Well, it was a short day, so as a result, the BioGlen Daily Dose is going to be a short one. Our top 3 moments from an exciting morning of competition, big matchups, and a lot on the line for the world's best surfers here in the round of 16. Starting at number 3, Molly Picklum, with an opportunity to potentially get the second spot with a huge finish here, gets the job done over at Alyssa Spencer.
Yeah, it was a really mature approach here from Molly Picklum. She was under pressure, but surfed incredibly well, which really leans into just how experienced and just how well she's coping with her, position on tour.
Coming in at number 2, India Robinson, so strong under pressure.
Yeah, she really was. She had a big job ahead of her and a really big heat coming up against world number 2, Joanne Defay, who hasn't missed a final series yet. She's coming off the back of 2 finals, a final at Bells, but India just not cracking under pressure, delivering with that big, beautiful hacks that we've known to love.
Yeah, and then coming in at number 1, it was a replay of the 2022 final with Gabriella Bryan and Isabella Nichols once again fighting to keep a place on the championship tour, and the winner was going to jump up into the top 10, the loser relegated to the Challenger Series.
Oh, so much shenanigans went on this thing at the start of the heat. Both our women out of position, and then when they finally started riding waves, it was Gabriella Bryan who just leaned into that big power hack that she's just got in her bag of tricks. Man, this is becoming like her weapon of choice, and it's destroying lives.
Yeah, gnarly one. And Richard Doc Marsh, I mean, if he had any hair, he would have been ripping it out because that was a stressful heat. Maybe he's kind of done that earlier in the season. But, it was an intense morning, a lot of slow heats, a few restarts. Hopefully, when we get competition back underway, there's a whole lot of opportunity in this lineup because we've still got heats that are going to decide people's fate.
Yep.
Will they stay on the CT in 2024? Will they be back on the Challenger Series and kicking things off a new campaign over there on the Gold Coast? We're going to have to wait and see.
Yep.
In the meantime, though, let's go rip in.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, we're going to leave you with today's highlights. Stay tuned to worldsurfleague.com and you'll get all the information you need right there.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.